life in there is solely responsible of your doing.
Yeah,
like,
it can't get. I'm committed.
You have an 11-foot water tank.
14.
In your 14. You have a 14-foot water tank in your office.
11.
These CGTs sound horrible.
Yeah, they sound like
They sound like
trash.
They sound like trash.
Because what everyone talks about is, oh, it's brittle, it's crap. And ever since you guys did that freaking episode, people have called me and said I don't want to use titanium because it cracks.
Oh, I'm
so
sorry.
Started shaving. There was 2-3 layers, and it's like there's no carbon. And I'm like, dude, it didn't work. He's like, all right, whatever. And then I told my other buddy that has a car, and he's like, dude, keep going. Okay.
You're digging for fucking gold.
For real.
Have you guys driven that track?
Nuremberg? Yeah, I fly in every week, and I just get a quick
I don't know.
He's from Germany, so.
Yeah,
I'm from Germany.
What's your favorite video game?
I don't play video games.
It's just what came out.
It's just first thing I had to think of to distract you.
He's trying to throw me off. I'm telling you. This fucker's been waiting for this podcast.
Hey, you don't
I really, dude, I have not.
Yes, yeah.
Honestly,
If
like,
downplay it, it's fine, guys. He's going to downplay the shit out of it, but he's been waiting for this moment as much as we have. But we are here at Boden Autohaus. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
Yeah? It's not Autohaus? Autohaus?
Sorry, the compressor.
No, it's all good.
It's every,
these things are so good, honestly, it might not even really pick that
Alright,
up
cool.
as much as possible.
Yeah, Autohaus.
Autohaus?
Yeah.
Autohaus. We're here at Boden Autohaus
German.
with the presumptuous Josh. Plug your handles, talk about yourself a little bit, introduce yourself.
Handles, Boden _Autohaus, pretty much everything. Talk about
You'll
myself.
find him.
Yeah.
Like what part of myself?
Yeah, why
introduce
you gotta put him in a corner?
That's
He wanted to come in hot, so I'm gonna go throw shit right back at him. We're in the fucking dojo
We've
right
never
now.
just tossed someone in the fire like that before. And
He deserves it.
You just
There,
came
you
on here
have
and
water.
just.
Honestly, you know what
We
it
have
is
water, we're
too?
good.
It's the
Thank
the
you.
initial Porsche comments that kind of got me a little riled up.
So now you just want to.
Now I want to attack him with all full force. That's my bad.
Do what you got to do.
Yeah.
You want to lead us in then?
Don't even. I mean, we're already let in. This is just like we just flow. It is what it is.
Let's go into this. We're here at Boden Autohaus. How did we even get here? Start from the beginning.
How did you get here?
How did you get here?
To Boden?
Yeah, give me your whole lore story. Everyone wants to know the lore
goodness.
behind Boden Autohaus.
Look, you're building exhaust for Koenigseggs, Paganis. You're modifying Apollo IEs. Like, what other shop is doing that?
Honestly, I don't know any of the shops that are doing the kind of cars we're doing, but I mean, if you want to start from day one, we weren't doing cars like this, obviously.
Yeah. So how did Boden get to here?
So Boden in German means ground, and I come from like the scene where everyone was modifying cars to slam them, airbags, stance, camber, stretch tires, all the stuff that we kind of look at now and are like, but
Shout out to Jordan Media.
it's what I loved. I mean, I loved
Yeah.
slammed cars and undrivable cars that looked really cool. So when we first started, we were putting airbags on, Subarus, BMWs, minivans, like weird stuff. And then we started doing like Audi R8s and then Huracans and then 488s. And that's kind of what evolved into the exotic stuff.
It's a natural progression.
And then, yeah, I guess. And then
Minivans to Huracans.
Yeah.
Huracans. Yeah, that was a fun phase, 2015. And then from there, we worked on one Koenigsegg. And after that, he told all of his friends. We did an exhaust system on one. And then from there, it just went crazy. So now we got the trust of the hypercar community, and we've been able to do exhaust systems, wheels, wraps, all kinds of things on these pretty crazy, unique cars.
Yeah, because that's got to be so difficult. I mean, you got to, like you said, you got to get the first person to trust you.
Yeah.
And then you're kind of in.
Mm-hmm.
But what other shop has gotten the first person to trust them to build an exhaust for a Koenigsegg? That's like,
What other shop has balls to even build an exhaust?
yeah, that's
You know
true.
how much cojones you have to even get to that point where you're like, all right, yeah, let's try to
But
figure
would-
some shit out for a fucking.
Would
for a
anyone
hyper.
actually turn it down? Think
Like for
if
the
you were,
dynamic? Let me ask you this.
if they were the caliber of shop that they would actually would have someone come and ask them, would they turn it down,
Well,
knowing
I
what
feel
it
like
would
it
get
depends on
them?
the situation. Let me ask you. Walk through that first build out experience. How was it? The client was like, I want this done. Do you think you can do it? Or he's like, I want it done. Do you know anybody? How did it go down?
So I knew who the client was, and he's well known in Orange County. He called the shop, and my manager answered the phone at the time, and he's like, "Hey man, can you guys build an exhaust for a Koenigsegg?" And the managers took a note, just like number, contact, this and that, and he came to me. He's like, "Hey Josh, this guy Jeffrey wants to build an exhaust for Koenigsegg." I'm like, "What? Are you serious?" So I gave him a call, and he's like, "Hey, yeah, so I've got this car and the exhaust sounds like crap. It's 20 years old. Can you make something cool out of it? I'm like, absolutely. We'll figure it out. So came to the shop. I mean, he was like a hawk on the car. Right?
Yeah.
He dropped it off. He's like, no one drive the car. We're going to, keep an eye on it. When you're ready to test drive it, I'll come by. It was just down the street. So we built the system. He came by, took it for a spin. He absolutely loved it. Then right after that, 3 of his friends with Koenigseggs got the same system, and then it just kind of spiraled from there as far as that.
So this was what, a CCX?
CCX, yeah, manual. It was sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first time we went in and we ripped up and down the street, it was like,
It didn't
was
happen to be matte silver, did it?
it was, yeah.
Okay, I think I know the car.
Yeah.
I've been around the Orange County scene too long now.
It was
Yeah.
We've been following the lore for a minute now.
Oftentimes it's the same cars you see showing up, at
It's
all
all
the
the same
shows.
crew. I mean,
Right.
there's only a handful of these cars,
Exactly.
and all the
Fucking-
owners know each other.
Yeah.
How many
Exactly.
of these things I was like can there really be out there? There's only a certain number. All these cars are numbered like. A
And then
motherfucker.
in SoCal, being modified, it's like a niche of a niche of a niche. So it's
Well, it
it's
started in
pretty wild.
SoCal.
Yeah.
Started as that.
That's
Which
why I
I
moved
imagine
here.
now you're bigger than SoCal.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
Boden brand is way bigger than.
Where'd you
SoCal
move
now.
from?
The Bay Area, Northern California.
Yeah,
So-
much better place
that
to be.
That explains a lot.
Okay. Yeah, we were the scene up there. If I were to do the same thing, it definitely wouldn't work out.
Yeah.
I'd have to work at Teslas and different Teslas.
Yeah, and
Maybe
Priuses.
you
Yeah.
maybe you'd get Zuck's Pagani.
Yeah. Or what did he do? He extended a Cayenne.
Oh
Did
yeah,
you see that?
a Cayenne
Did you
Turbo
that car?
GT of
Yeah.
all
Nah,
things.
bro,
Yeah,
that's
I've got that
fucking-
At
since
West
so
Coast
many
Customs.
That's
Yeah.
the biggest fuck you I do what I want.
Shout out
I've
Will
ever
I Am.
seen in my
I would
entire
never.
life.
That's the kind of stuff I would say no to. I'm like, I'm good. I'm not. gonna-
That's your limit. That's like your all right.
No,
don't
there's
worry.
definitely levels before that, but I'm cool.
It's right up, West Coast Customs alley though.
for sure. Fish
Oh.
tank in a car, like a
The whole
like
line.
Korean barbecue,
Yeah.
whatever you want.
We heard you like Korean barbecue. We're back to Pit
Put
Mountain
it in the
Ranch.
trunk.
So what we did was we put a grill in the back.
Yeah.
Speaking of fish tanks, aren't you like a fish lover to a certain degree?
I see where this is going.
What a segue! I don't know how you. I don't know how you because I
You
just
gave me the segue.
bro,
What do you
I
want me
just-
to do?
I just saw that
I
thing.
walked in there, saw the biggest Boden Easter egg I've ever seen in my entire life.
It's
he wants
a-
to walk away from it?
It's a
Absolutely
hidden
not.
gem for sure. So the interesting story is, I've got this client who became a really close friend of mine, and I'd go to his house. He's actually in Calabasas, and he's got this fish tank that I would just stare at for hours. I'd go there, and he's like, this fish is from Costa Rica. This is from the Red Sea. These are gangbanging each other, whatever. Like there's like a whole ecosystem, and it's vibrant. It's just like there's always something going on. So I'd go to his house, we'd hang out, and I'd just be staring at this fish tank, like this thing's sick. So then he calls me, he's like, hey man, I'm remodeling my house. I gotta get a bigger tank. Do you want this tank? I'm like, what the fuck, where am I gonna put it? Like there's nowhere to put it in my house. Like the office is not configured for it. He's like, I paid 120 grand for it. Like, we'll figure it out. I'm like, I'm good. I don't want to deal with it. Then fast forward a few weeks, he's like, yo, I got to get rid of this thing. You pay for shipping, it's yours. I'm like, all right, we'll figure it out.
Right.
So you put it on a flatbed, sent it here. Shipping was like $8 grand.
Jeez.
I was like, okay, this is the beginning to a really.
We're $8
really
grand in this hole already. So
stupid
And how far is this thing? How far was this house?
70 miles, 80
70
miles.
miles.
Right?
$8 grand to move a fish tank 70 miles.
Yeah, I mean, and you'll see, it's 11 or 14 feet long, 1,100 gallons, massive. So I'm like, all right, there's nowhere really to put in the lobby, and I kind of want to just have it for myself. So I took out one of my 4 walls in my office, and I just fit the fish tank perfectly side to side. And you service it from the back, so I don't have to deal with like the sound of the pumps, feeding it, this and that. It's just all you see is fish tank. And this started about, 8 months ago, turned into a completely new hobby. I'm a marine biologist now.
8 months ago.
I
That's
said,
how long
don't
it's
let
been
him
there?
walk away
Yeah,
from
because
this.
it takes time. I mean, installing it, plumbing it, you've got to run water from wherever, electrical, all the lights. Then you got to acclimate it. You got to put the salt water in there, let it kind of like adjust the pH levels.
Yeah, you got a whole coral reef in there.
Literally.
All kinds of crap.
He's
And then-
downplaying it.
I think I saw Nemo and Dory.
Dude, I had stingrays in there. I've got sharks. I've got eels. But as you're starting, like, I got some cool fish, some cool stingrays, and then they just start dying.
Yeah,
Because
no,
they're
it's
learning.
tough.
Like,
Yeah,
the tank
yeah.
is adapting, and I started, like, I was naming them. I was like, you look like a Brad. You look like a Chad. So I had these, like,
Brad
Brad
and
and Chad
Chad.
stingrays.
You
They
can
were
attach
like,
them. You can attach them. a
yeah,
little
I'm
bit.
like every day, like, oh, you're good. Like, they'd smile, you feed them. Like, you have a little attachment.
Mm-hmm.
and then they just like die. And I called the fish man. The guy who installed it also has like a fish company where they provide the fish, and
fish plug.
they know what works with they know what fish work
Yeah.
with each other and who
He's
get along
probably
and who won't
Persian
kill
too,
each
but-
other. And I'm like, yo, dude, the guy's looking kind of jacked up, like he's like twitching and not acting right. He goes, oh, he's probably gonna die. I'm like, what? And he goes, yeah, it's the first part of it. They acclimate, the water changes, they just die. I'm like, okay. So I stopped naming them after that. Started getting new fish. New fish came in. The homie didn't like him, attacked him, dead. Like, so it's just like a process. So now at this point, I'm used to it. And I've got a good gang of fish. They all get along. They're all cool homies. But it's definitely a lot more than I expected. And it's become a part of my life. I can't give up at this point.
Yeah.
I can't just like throw in the towel and tell them to stop servicing the tank because it's every week you got to do
No,
something.
bro, you literally have life living out of there.
Yeah.
Like that life in there is solely responsible if you're doing
Yeah,
it.
you
Like,
can't get. I'm committed.
You have an
Fully-
11-foot water tank
14.
in your 14. You have
Yeah.
a 14-foot water tank in your office.
11,000 pounds.
1,100 gallons.
1,100 gallons.
Of
No.
pure joy.
It's
Bro.
the volume of a hot tub
No, you know what it
filled
is?
with
too?
filled with salt water.
Yeah.
It kind of sounds like what happens with, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe it hasn't happened for you yet, but like kind of like with cars. You get attached to them at first, you start to name them, you like them, and then you get to see such a high volume of them, you get around them, you're
Yeah.
in the industry. And then after a while, just kind of,
Get jaded.
it loses its luster. All of a sudden, you look at them a little differently. They start becoming units. Like for you to get to a point where like this car behind you becomes like another unit for you, and you're just like, okay, is it crazy? Because for us, we look at that and I'm like,
Don't get me wrong. I still, to this day, I love coming into work every single day. I love talking to these clients every day about their projects. I mean, it's not a 9 to 5 whatsoever. After hours, we're on the phone just talking about cars all day. And I love it. I'm on vacation. I'm talking about cars all day. And it doesn't get tiring because basically what happened is I get to modify these cars how I want to do it, but with someone else kind of funding it. And
Yeah.
like but it turns out they always love it. It's like they don't know what's going to work, what colors are going to work, what sizing is going to work, what fitment's going to work. But at the end of the day, they come to us because we're able to put something together for them. And it's exactly how I would do it if it was my own car.
So you're
for the most
curating
part.
it.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we're known for is how we're able to put everything together. There's not one specific thing, but it's just more how do we put everything to make it flow as one piece.
So someone drops off the car and says, "You do what you
Not
need
everyone,
to do." Right,
but
right.
like, you know, we've got a handful of people that are just collectors and they go through cars like underwear. It's like, okay, new car comes out, it's already on order. I need one for myself, I need one for my sister, my brother. Hey, my architect has a car, can you do this? So it's like we get just a plethora of cars from just one person, but it's not just their cars, it's their
Right.
community. And then you get 3 or 4 of those guys and it's just you're constantly rotating cars.
I guess it's no different than hiring like an interior designer.
Essentially.
You don't want to pick your furniture; you just want it to look amazing. So you're
Yeah.
like, "Hey, you probably got
Or a
better taste.
contractor.
You probably got better taste than I do.
Yeah.
So you pick my wheels, you pick my colors."
And there's a lot of people that try to do it themselves where they're like, all right, this shop is a wheel specialist. This shop is a suspension specialist. Here's a paint specialist. And it's doable, but these guys don't have the time for this. They want to trust one person to just put everything together for them, whether, you know, however they want to do it. But it's more a time thing. And that's what I've been able to capitalize on is just giving them my time to make sure that their car is handled from top to bottom.
it's a relationship at the end of the
Yeah,
day.
for sure.
You want to be their one-stop shop.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you the owners of these cars aren't the type of people that will go around, let me get a quote here, let me call this person, let me win my time here.
We don't get a lot of people that we don't we don't get
You got motion lights.
Yeah.
Everyone's got motion lights.
yeah we don't get a lot of people that shop around. Like people don't call for price quotes here and there. I mean, every now and then we'll get someone that says this, and then if they say, hey, this other shop do it for less, I'm like, just go for it.
Yeah, please,
Yeah.
please go handle it.
I don't want to
See how that turns out.
And that's been a blessing, honestly. Like to be able to say no to people has saved so much like stress and just peace. And I'd rather lose a customer than try to make a couple bucks.
You got to get to that point though.
Yeah.
In business, you get to that structure.
Yeah.
At first, you might be like, okay, let me take as much as I can. Let me put on
And we
all my
did
plate.
for sure. Yeah.
You get to a point where you're like, all right, you know what? I don't need this type of client. I don't
That's
need
why we
this type
stopped
of work.
doing the air suspension stuff because it looked cool and we would say yes to the craziest cars, but there was nothing that was repetitive. Like we wouldn't do the same car twice. We wouldn't do the same trunk setup twice. We wouldn't do the same wheel setup twice. So every car became a challenge and there was no money to be made. We're having cars come back. We're we're having issues with the manufacturers. So at that point, we're just like, all right, we got to just stop doing it.
You said that was like your love. That's why you started doing it first, the air suspension
Yeah,
stuff?
I had this Audi A4, and I was working at Chili's for a few years, and all my tip money I would go on the forums or Craigslist and try to buy used parts to build this thing. And I linked up with a company called AccuAir. I don't know if you heard of AccuAir. They're kind of the leaders in the air suspension game back in the day, or still today. But I put airbags on that car, and I just fell in love with just pressing a button, and it's on the ground, and you press a button, and you get to drive it. And I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. So I somehow turned that into a business, and we were just bagging cars left and right. And then,
What do you think about bag supercars?
I mean, we did it. I had a bag. The first supercar we did was an R8. It was a Gen 1 V8 R8. I did
Come on, let's turn up the dial. What about like an Aventador?
We never bagged an Aventador.
No.
And there's
Bro, Aventador owners have class. Bro.
I'm
They
just-
never fucking do
Oh,
some
do
dumbass
they?
shit like
I
that.
don't
For
know.
sure, for
Never
sure.
do some dumbass shit
Aventador
like
owners
that.
for sure got class.
For sure
That's
have
no
class.
doubt. So what's the craziest thing you bagged?
Dude, we bagged this thing called the Jeepney.
A what?
Heard of a Jeepney?
A jeepney?
All right, so it's like this Filipino iconic bus. It's all chrome.
Oh, it's like some shit they only sell over there.
Yeah, and it was owned by Apple, not the company, but the guy from Black Eyed Peas.
Okay. Yeah. I'm glad you clarified.
And he wanted this Jeepney, and
I was gonna make the most
it
dumbass
wasn't
tech joke ever.
it wasn't fun, but we put airbags on this. It looked like a school bus that was all polished chrome, and we shipped it to New York for a Filipino parade, and I drove it, and it had an LS1 in it.
It's probably paid pimp.
Dude, it was
Bro,
the
it's
sickest
the-
thing
it's
in the
the
world.
wildest
Driving
build
up
I've ever heard.
with the cutouts, like, and these guys were just like raging. So that was an experience.
Hey,
That's probably the craziest.
Filipinos are different though. They're
hit different.
They're a different breed of people.
They hit
They
different.
love
Good.
that shit.
Yeah,
Thanks for
they
the
love
lesson.
it. So that was probably the craziest thing we ever bagged that I can remember.
Please tell me you got like a video of that car.
Yeah, I'll send it over to you.
I
That's
was
wild.
appreciate it. That's always a hot take for me. I think all that shit's so idiotic. That look,
Bagged-
the whole thing,
bagged
yeah.
cars?
Especially
You-
when
you
you
think
get
it's
to that level.
idiotic?
Huh?
I just didn't hear you.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, I mean today, like we just delivered a car, Testarossa 512, and super clean car. And he wanted he comes from the JDM world. He likes the stand stuff, and we did a proper air suspension setup on it, which was like nice dampers, but the spring was an airbag, so it handled great, drove great, but it got low and drivable. And he'll drive the car maybe 3 times a year. For that, I think it's fine. You know, it looks good slammed. It's cool, but not for like a daily driver, not for a performance setup. But for a show car, I don't see anything wrong with it. But I get your perspective too, because you drive an Aventador. So your opinion might not be.
You know what? I could actually get with like a slammed F355.
Yeah,
That'd
like
be
an
pretty
old
clean.
vintage car and slammed is sick.
Yeah.
It's only sick because you don't see it often.
Right,
That's
right.
the only
But it's
reason it's
cool.
sick. But the
You
concept
wide body
of
it. You wide
Bro,
body a 355. You slam
Right.
it. You put a F1 exhaust on it.
You want me to
That
get
would be
real like 7-year-old Corvette owner on you right now? I'll
Sure.
get there right now.
You had a Corvette?
Huh?
You're a Corvette
I
guy?
have one right now. Yeah.
That's cool. I bagged a Corvette, ZR1.
You see what C6?
We bagged a C6 ZR1 back in the day
See
too.
that probably looks pretty clean. I give
was
it to you.
cool, yeah.
Blush like aluminum brush wheels.
They almost like this LaFerrari set, like black.
this? Oh really? Not
Yeah.
bad. Not bad. You have something against Corvette? I felt some.
No, I think it's a
animosity
great
coming to you when I
all-around
said that.
bang for buck. Even the C8, the Z06, the ZR1 they're making you can't beat it. I mean, I don't think I'll ever buy a Corvette, but bang for buck, midlife crisis, no problem.
There it is.
Yeah.
I felt the whole time he was talking. I was like, "Where's the hook?
Where's
coming?"
the
I was
catch?
like, "Where's the hook?"
Where's the
gonna come?"
catch?
I'm not gonna talk a bunch of shit about cars on this because a lot of my customers have these cars, so I
Oh,
gotta
of course
be careful.
not. Of course not. By no
No,
means
yeah.
are we
But
sitting here trying to
my
get you to talk
opinion
shit
is
on
just
them.
my opinion. Nothing of it's true. But Corvettes, I
100%.
think if you want to just get it out of your system, have something cool for 70, 80 grand, there's nothing better.
Yeah, they're great cars. Just
I'm just big on like when it comes to modifications. I like tasteful modifications, but overdone modifications is not my style. So like for me,
Me too.
that's an overdone
For sure.
modification.
Yeah.
Especially for like you said, you see it's cool to see on like an older car, but you don't see it that often. But
Yeah.
the car comes out of the factory to a point. They build it. They have to confine to certain regulations, certain shit like that. But tasteful modifications.
I
Kinda
mean,
like what
there's
you
a
do
bunch of bad cars that come
Yeah.
from the factory too, but they're S-Class, Rolls-Royce, Urus,
It's different.
different, but Audi RS6.
I had an S class that got totaled out. That thing came in, dropped to the ground. I was just
But it
making
was
bag
sick,
jokes.
right?
Yeah, I was just sitting
like
pretty
a
sitting
luxury
there.
car, like on its guts, is like
Just
sick.
sitting right. This
Yeah.
is sick and disgusting. Huh?
I had a RS6 when they first came to the States, the wagon. and it was on airbags from the factory, and I wanted that same look, that kind of slammed look. So we actually took the struts apart, took out the bump stops internally, put a module on it so that you press a button. It wasn't like a full AccuAir setup, but you'd press a button and it'd dump all the air out. So it was tucking when I parked, but then you have to start it, wait for the compressor to fill up, and then drive it off. But it was sick. It looked good.
I'd
That's all
be
that
be there for 20 minutes, but it
Yeah.
still looks sick as fuck.
Yeah.
So what cars do you have right now? You
My
personally?
favorite thing to drive right now, and I drive it every day, is my Raptor R.
Yeah.
And I'll say this to anyone. I mean, I'm not into the whole TRX versus Raptor R. I've never been like a diehard truck guy, but I've always had a truck. But since that truck came out, it is just we've had them nonstop. Like we have at least 3 or 4 in here at a time. They're 700 horsepower, supercharged V8, 2 miles a gallon at the best. But it's comfortable. It's got a great sound system. It off-roads like nothing else. And for a daily driver, I absolutely love that truck.
What are y'all doing to them?
Bagging them.
Honestly, with the
Wrapping
trucks,
exhaust?
their tickets are higher than most of these builds here.
Really?
Average tickets.
Well, there's
like
so many different parts.
Yeah, you got side steps, bed covers, PPF, wheels, tires, control arms, upgraded supercharger. Just everything adds up to be like 70 to 100 grand just on that truck. Whereas these cars that come in for just wheels, tires, suspension, it'll be like 20 to 30.
Which is crazy because Raptor R comes in at how much? What are those? I don't even know what those go for right
115
now.
MSRP, give or take.
115, and then someone's dumping another 70, 80 into it. So
No,
look
I
at-
mean that's MSRP. You can't get them at sticker.
No, yeah.
Oh.
right now,
You're
Raptor
paying
Rs are going
35
over.
to 60 grand over right now.
So
35?
so people are
I
like
thought they were like 10.
No, not for R.
people are like
Ah, that's what it
240,
is.
250 into these cars.
Yeah,
into these
quarter
trucks.
mil for a truck.
That's crazy.
So we get. I mean, 9 out of 10 of these collectors they drive a Raptor R. It's so they come to us because
Fucking Boden Autohaus, Raptor
we're not
R
a truck
Center,
shop, but I
dude.
can't tell you
You're
how many
fucking
we've
truck
done.
shop.
It's
That's all it is.
insane.
I love it.
And it's fun. We've got 3 here right now.
You know
Well,
what's,
it's-
you know what's crazy? There was someone, we don't got to name names, but there was someone that did a project a few years ago with Raptors where they were trying to do a custom build. They're a big Rolls Royce fan, and they're like, okay, well, I want to like redo a Raptor at the level of like Rolls Royce. And they did it with a very well-known, prestigious shop.
Like a newer Raptor.
Yeah, but it was before the Raptor R. This was a few years
Okay.
ago. But yeah, the newer Raptor. So they tuned it up, more power. It was probably 6 something, and then everything inside was refinished, rewrapped in leather that they like bought from the finest of the finest, and finished every button and chrome and like all out. And they were like 250, I think,
Yeah.
maybe 300.
The
And
truck game's crazy.
I don't think they could really sell them. But the time, like I'm thinking about the time now, like if they had the same product today for that
Oh.
similar price, they'd probably have no problem selling it. But
Yeah.
like this was 2018 maybe. It's
Oh,
just-
so yeah. The
2019?
Gen 2.
yeah, Gen 2.
Yeah.
But it's just a different world.
The truck people spend a lot.
Bro, post-COVID just changed
250.
everything, dude.
COVID,
When
yeah.
you print that much money, bro, the world just fucking changes everything.
I mean,
The whole-
COVID was crazy for us. I mean, so there was obviously a minute of scares, right? Where we
Sure.
had cars in here. People were like, "Dude, I got to pull my car."
Right.
Like, just stop everything we're doing.
Nobody knows what's going to happen. Are
Yeah,
you
we're
kidding
all
me?
at home. Like, I was Zoom calling with the Texas. We couldn't want to go there, and then all of a sudden, like, it just started raining, and like, people were buying cars left and right, parts left and right, markups out the wazoo. Like, remember there was G-Wagons were like 150 over MSRP.
Disgusting.
It was
mid threes.
Uruses
G's were selling
it
mid
was
threes.
Yeah.
Bro, but
the-
to that whole thing, okay, you take what happened during that time frame. People who own these cars are normally sitting on shit during COVID that just went parabolic.
smart guys?
Stocks, real estate, they have their money parked in assets that
Yeah.
is hedged against inflation, which is literally all that happened. So
Yeah.
these guys are reining it in. They're the ones spending. Your business, your clientele is perfect because they're the ones spending during that time. Versus on the opposite, everyone who's hurting for it is like they're the ones pulling back. They're the ones that are hard out of money. They need this. They need that.
it's what's crazy too is, I mean, we're in a recession right now, right?
Yeah. By technical definition, yeah, we are.
And-
Let's be real. Everything's crazy expensive.
Pre-COVID, post-COVID, mid-COVID, obviously we saw a big jump when like mid-COVID, but even when money's tight, we still get a lot of business because if someone doesn't want to spend or refinance a new car, they're like, all right, let's just change the color, let's change the wheels. I'll get that joy out of it. Like, I'll just feel like I have a new car. So they'll put a set of wheels on the car, they'll wrap it, and they'll be happy instead of buying a new car. So we're always busy with people just having that urge to modify their car or buy a new car. So either way, it almost feels like it's recession proof to be in this sector of the industry.
Can I ask you a question?
No.
First, well, I don't even know if you're going to answer it or not.
Crazy?
First of all, probably should have asked you earlier if you could answer this, but we'll throw it out. We'll see what
I'll have
happens.
to think.
What's the? Can you tell us the highest invoice you've
Like
done
for
here?
a single
For a single build?
build or
Both. I don't even know what you're thinking of, but both.
A single
well,
build.
I mean, like
yeah,
there's
you
builds
talking about
that
people
that are broken up into different things. But like for a single car,
like a single car, single bill.
Like all together. Maybe not all one shot, but like piece by piece. What ended up being like?
I was just thinking like, here's your bill.
A crazy story, and I got to make sure the customer can air this. But
Just
this car,
don't say any names.
No, I'm not gonna say any names. But there's a car in front of us that's worth about $4 million, and his invoice right now is probably sub $300,000 for that work that we're doing. And what's crazy is he got this car sight unseen, came to me, and he has another one that is the same car, but it's a convertible over the Aperta. And it's fully loaded. It's got carbon mirrors, carbon everything.
You said he has 2 of these?
Yeah, a convertible and a coupe. You know.
Yeah, why not?
So
One for when it rains and one for when it's not raining.
yeah,
Shits and giggles.
this one came in and he noticed that there's no carbon on it. He's like, he paid a good amount, like market value, but there's no carbon on the front lip. There's no carbon on the rear. There's no carbon on the mirrors compared to his other one that's loaded with carbon. So he's like, let's order carbon for it, and called Ferrari. You can't just buy a lip. You can't buy a rear diffuser. You can't buy a part. You have to buy the entire bumpers. So
Of course.
front rear bumpers and the mirrors were about $200,000. So I ordered it.
I don't even want to know what the mirrors alone are.
And the fucked up the fucked up part is, after we ordered it, they're non-refundable. You wire Ferrari, like you can't get a refund. They're special order
you gotta
parts.
pay to even get him to fucking send that motherfucker.
Yeah.
The fucked up part is that I found out later on that all of them are carbon, and if you sand it down, there's carbon underneath the plastic. And as you can see, we tried it, and I called the customer. I'm like, hey, I know it's probably too late, but I can probably save you $200,000 in parts if we shave it down, and there's carbon under it. So that's what I heard. So he's like, can you cancel the order? So I was like, I don't know. So I called Ferrari. You couldn't cancel the order. Started shaving. I'm like, all right, if it doesn't work, whatever, we'll paint it and whatever. Started shaving. There was 2-3 layers, and it's like, there's no carbon. And I'm like, dude, it didn't work. He's like, all right, whatever. And then I told my other buddy that has a car, and he's like, dude, keep going.
You're digging for fucking gold.
For real. Yeah.
So we started
Wipe
shaving
the
more,
sweat.
and then there's carbon. And
literally
I called the
digging for gold.
customer, and I'm like, dude, there's carbon there, but it's too late. So you still had to pay the $200,000, but Ferrari charges you less for the same part. It actually cost them more to paint it in black over the carbon than it did to just leave it with just gloss carbon. So that's our most expensive ticket today, and it is a complete waste, to be honest.
That's why.
Now he's got 4 Ferrari bumpers that are all the same. So
Well, maybe he can.
nice guy.
Maybe.
Nice guy.
Yeah,
Hey,
super
thanks
nice
for the
guy.
fish tank.
Yeah, yeah.
Super nice.
He's the one with the fish tank.
Oh, nice.
I fuck with this guy.
Maybe he can sell them.
He's a good guy.
I've always thought about like with the exposed carbon. Is it really more to finish they charge like 300
Oh, for
grand
sure.
for exposed carbon? It's
Yeah.
more to leave it exposed than to paint it.
I mean, I'm not a manufacturer, and I don't know if this is 100% correct, but my thought process is that, if a car isn't exposed carbon, you just paint over, it doesn't have to be perfect, right? But if it's exposed and people are seeing it, you have to make sure the weaves line up. You have to make sure your clear is perfect. Like, there's a lot more that goes into it to make it look like that. So
It's the clear coat.
yeah, it's
Because if you damage that carbon, to fix that carbon compared to fixing something like any basic metal is fucking eons more difficult than anything else.
no, I think you're
all the
saying
panels
more
are still carbon,
Correct.
versus
so it
metal.
doesn't matter. Even if it's painted, you're still damaging carbon. I'm
So
saying
you're
like,
talking about like the option switching
with a
it between.
Bugatti to like keep
Ah,
it
my
to,
bad, my
to-
bad.
It's like
with all these
300 grand
cars to
more.
keep it exposed carbon
My bad,
instead
my
of
bad.
paint. It's like a 300,000 plus option for all Koenigsegg.
But some
Bugattis.
parts will be like fiberglass mixed with carbon. So when you do a full exposed carbon, everything has to be carbon, obviously. So it's a little bit of a different process.
It's got to be the finishing. That's all that it is. Because they
Yeah.
have to present literally the most perfect product possible. And these manufacturers don't want to. They don't want to put anything else unless it's fucking pristine like that.
Yeah.
Can you
Yeah.
imagine you see a Bugatti with misweave fucking
Oh, can you
carbon?
imagine? No way.
No, there's no fucking way.
No
Yeah,
shot.
That'd be a disaster.
Everything's perfect.
I thought you were referencing like literally swapping out, like if something's not supposed to be carbon and they switch it to carbon, but then they leave it exposed. Because I'm thinking of the process to repair carbon. Not every shop can repair carbon. You guys do shit like that here?
Ton of it.
Ton of it, yeah.
I mean,
You explain how difficult this shit is. It's not like fucking.
Yeah, it's not easy and it's expensive.
Yeah, very
but
much so.
it's less than replacing it. Like
Correct.
the pistas, when those first came out, people were destroying those diffusers left and right because they're so low to the ground. And then we lower it and it's even lower. So I've been giving people almost driving lessons on how to drive with lower diffusers. Like you got to make sure you go out of the driveway, then lower the front, make sure that the tail doesn't touch. But yeah, the diffusers get scraped up all the time. And we're
All the
repairing
Ferraris, I feel like.
Yeah, especially the pista. That for
Yeah.
some reason those diffusers are extra low.
SVJ front bumpers and shit like
Yeah.
that. I've seen
Yeah,
a lot
lips
of
all
those
the time.
destroyed.
Man, I didn't even realize
Nice
how
ones,
good of
yeah.
a view this is. With the double pista right here.
Double pista in the competition.
Bro,
And,
think,
and
think
one's
about
just
it.
one's just poking out just a little
Yeah.
bit more from my angle.
Bro, you got two pieces and a competition over there, and those ain't shit.
And I just
ain't
noticed.
shit.
That's what's crazy about
They're
it.
cool. I mean, they're
Oh, they're more than cool.
No, they're
Don't-
sick as
don't
fuck,
get it
but
twisted.
bro, what?
yeah.
I mean,
no,
besides these
Raptor
shit boxes, everything else is
Raptor
pretty
R.
fucking
Oh
cool.
my god, dude! What is your problem with Porsche?
What do you mean?
Why do you hate them so much?
You want to go into that right now?
I be just it's.
All right, let's dive
He's
into
been waiting for it.
my trauma.
I'm not
Let's
even
just,
waiting for it. I'm just curious who hurt you and like what.
I'll tell you,
caused
it's
you.
trauma. It's
Okay.
100% trauma. So I have a little
Everyone
bit. I
gets
would
to
say I
hear it
have.
again.
This is see. You
What do I
want to
gotta
talk
do?
shit about the lights, huh?
Oh,
So
we're
I'm
good,
telling you,
we're
the
good.
lights is the only thing that fucking saves us.
There you go.
My trauma comes from, I would say, two different things, but the main thing is, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here. We can go back and forth on this. It's the
You guys done
correlation.
this before? Is that why it's funny?
Oh, before?
I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, every episode I talk about this.
Every
No.
chance he
No,
gets.
no. What it is mainly for me, it's the like the correlation and the reputation that the moniker has built, and in my opinion, it's a little bit of like not exactly what it should be. I
Like
think
a
the average
cult?
person, like the cult following, the average person. Let's just talk about the average person here. You have the average person correlates a Porsche to like, in my opinion, this is from my experience. So people can talk shit and say I'm wrong, everything in between. But you correlate it to like a certain level of success. So the average person that doesn't know the car world, they see someone that drives a Porsche and they automatically emulate that to being some type of A, high-end vehicle, A, and B, some type of like, oh, this is a fucking crazy-ass sports car. That's my first problem with the brand. The moniker of it, what the moniker symbolizes is nothing more than Mercedes, BMW, everything in between, but it's automatically put in this world because for a long time, it was like the symbol of like, you made it. You got a Porsche.
for a long time, yeah. I
When
would
in
say
all reality,
before-
these things are nothing fucking crazy. Secondly,
As he points to a 918
secondly,
Spider.
my problem with it is, and this is 2-in-1. We both share the same opinion on the second one, but the first thing is, for me, the car, no matter what it is, and maybe I need to drive something like this, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. The cars are just not exciting. There's nothing about the car that excites me. They're perfect. They're like little fucking German machines that these fuckers are like, fucking these things are all perfectly built and they're bulletproof.
Like
But
Josh.
the car, exactly. The
German
car,
machine.
yeah, the Persian German. The car has no soul to it. It's the most
I
soul,
don't agree at all with that.
the
part.
most soulless driving experience I've ever had in my entire life. That's my
Which
problem.
ones have you driven?
Turbo S, GT3,
Like 991 and newer?
991 newer.
Yeah, that's why.
992.
I mean, it's, you know, I personally like the newest Porsche that I like is a 997.2 GT3 RS or a 4.0 or a
That's
GT2
the
RS.
newest you like?
That's the newest I like and I would personally buy. And that's only because, you know, if you drive like that 997 GT3 RS and you drive a 992 GT3 RS, the 992 obviously will smoke it on the track, and anyone and their mom can drive it with their pinky. It's
Exactly.
the easiest thing to drive in the world.
It's plug
it
and
literally
play.
drives itself. But if you take a 997.2 GT3 RS on the track, you have to know how to fucking drive, or you're not gonna have a good time. So like the 992 drives itself, you have to drive that one. So that's what I like. But I see what you're saying, like soul wise. If you're comparing it to a 991 GT3 or a 992 GT3, yeah, they're fun. They're crispy. They're great inside. Mechanically bulletproof.
It gives you everything you think you would want.
But it's not exciting. You're completely right.
That's
It's like
all
the
it is.
992 Turbo S. It's like,
All around, a great daily driver.
yeah, yeah.
It's like perfect.
But you'll get bored if it's your only car.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro,
for
like-
sure.
I don't like
but
daily
it's
drivers.
But it's fast. It's comfortable. You can do everything with it. But if you're gonna compare that to like an Aventador or a 720S,
You can't.
you're definitely gonna have more fun in those cars. But
That's my first part. Second part, and this might be the more fun conversation, is every fucking price point, there's a better car at the price point. I would pick a different car at every price point that the Porsche offers.
It really depends though who you are and what you're doing with the car.
Your
If it's your
preference.
only car, if you're a collector, if you're a track guy, everyone has a different purpose for these vehicles.
All right,
So
let's do this. We're gonna do an activity, everybody. Let's walk this through, okay?
I keep looking at the light.
Gavin, you pick a price point, okay? And then let's argue about what cars we can buy that are Porsche and what other cars we can buy that are the same price point, and let's see exactly how nitty gritty we can get. Even just we're talking about different usage, but let's just talk about a car. Pick a price point. Throw something out.
300 grand.
That's a terrible price point. All right, fine, 300 grand. So what do we have?
Don't ask me if
we have
you've got
brand new-
something in your mind.
I had a price point in mind. I thought you were gonna
Yeah, you
lob it up. I was gonna slam it down
Well,
on Josh right now.
I'm
but
not a
it's fine.
mind reader.
It's okay. It's fine. We'll get there one day. 300K. So what do we have? A brand new Turbo S, brand
Yeah.
new GT3.
High spec down.
What do we call them?
Brand new GT3, brand Turbo S.
What are these?
What else
What do
we
these
have?
997s go for?
Closer to 4.
Closer to 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, GT3 S's don't count because it's like the biggest piece ever. Selling for $450,000. A joke.
300 grand.
That's pretty much it. Turbo S's.
Yeah, like a high spec Turbo
GT3S.
S or GT3.
You probably find some rarity shit that might fluctuate, but let's talk about just going market price, average that you can be consistent with. You got a 992 Turbo S.
Was 250 a better budget?
I
It's worse.
wanted the 130, 150 range.
Oh,
but
you wanted the base Carrera
I
range?
wanted the best Carrera range,
Yeah,
so I can shit on Josh for a little bit.
130. Yeah.
Would you take a base Carrera, or you said wouldn't buy a Corvette? A base Carrera or a C8 ZR1?
C8 Z06.
C8 Z06, yeah, sorry. Base Carrera or C8 Z06? Those are the same price.
A C8 Z06?
Yeah.
Do you understand what the question you just got asked? A base Carrera and a C8 Z06 are the same fucking price, Josh.
But what am I doing with it? I'm not going to track
Anything!
I'm
You're
not gonna-
doing anything with
I'm
the
not
car.
going to take either of them on the track. I'm not going to take either of them to the canyons. I'd rather have the Porsche.
Let's go through every activity. Grocery store.
Grocery
Porsche.
store. That's a bad example.
Porsche.
How is it a fucking bad example? Z06 has
I'm
two
just not a-
fucking trunks. It's got a front and back.
I'm sure it'll outperform it, but I'm not a Corvette guy. I'm not a.
Just like you're not a Porsche
Wait,
guy.
a new Z06?
Yes,
The
bro.
one- Oh,
The new
that
one.
shit's wild. Yeah, I'll
That's
take that for sure.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm
Sorry.
saying. That's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
I'm
that's just
saying.
The new
The
Z06.
car
I'm not talking about a
wheels, and it sounds
C6
like a
Z06.
458.
Bro.
Exactly.
If I had to pick, yeah,
Thank
that car's
you.
Cool. That car's cool.
Those
So-
are the same price.
Then and as a base Carrera and a C8 Z06, those are the same price. Is what
You
I'm
can
trying
get
to
the
tell you.
Z07 package for the price of a base Carrera these
That's
days.
what I'm trying
I
to tell
thought
you.
they
right
were
now.
like.
They-
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
They were.
Yeah.
They
you're
were.
right.
Now you can get them. Now they're going for like MSRP, or if it's got like 500 miles on it, it'll be under MSRP. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, that's
The-
fair.
The
I get every point. I
pendulum
get
is
your
swung.
argument makes sense, but as someone, I'm not like a Porsche nut, right? I'm not
Yeah.
like the crazy guy that has air cool tattooed on his lower back. You know, I don't wear flannels. I don't love coffee, but like I love the cars just because I've driven everything you can think of without trying to toot my own. I've driven almost every hypercar you can think of, every daily, everything you can think of, and the Porsche just drives great. Like it's just a great driving car. The quality, we've taken them apart. They just know how to build the car. But excitement wise, in that price bracket, yeah, for sure, Z06 will shit on it. Absolutely shit on it. But I'm not a Corvette guy.
No, I understand, and that's a one-off example. My point being is that if I give you more examples of price ranges, like if we did the 300K price range,
Even
there
the
would be
$2 million
conversations.
price range, I would pick a Carrera GT over anything in the $2 million price range. Anything. And
Yeah,
I've,
well,
I've
that's-
thought about this too. It's
Yeah.
like if I had $2 million and I were to pick one car, I would pick a Carrera GT.
I
no
think
matter
2
what.
million now.
There
For a
depends
good
on the
one?
one. They're between like 1.5 to 2.5 depending.
What else
on
is
the
2
spec.
million right
That's
now?
so crazy.
Because I'm trying to see if he's full of shit by what he just said right now. What else is
2
2
million? I don't know. Is there really anything in 2 million? It goes. I feel like it goes from 1.
2 million
to
under.
3, 4.
There's Senna.
Senna's, yeah.
There's you can get a
4GT.
P1. You can
You
get
can get a P1 for 2 mil.
like 1.9 low twos, right?
I love the P1.
You're
918s
picking
are
a
little-
GT over a P1?
Which one?
A
Carrera GT.
Carrera GT over a P1?
For sure, like without a doubt. The first time I drove one, there was nothing. There's no other experience.
We're in the realm of me talking absolute shit right now. I haven't driven any of these cars, so this is just me talking absolute
There's
shit.
nothing that drives like a Carrera GT, except for what I've heard, which I haven't driven, an F50. It's the closest thing to it.
Yeah, you gotta realize what you're talking about.
No, I don't. I want to talk as much blindless,
Dude,
numbing, uninformational
it's the
shit as
most
possible.
wild.
Because those two
Walk me
cars,
through that
those
experience,
two cars, the
Josh.
Carrera GT and the P1. Also, I've never driven either. So it's like
P1 drives like a like a 765 on steroids. It's exciting. Yeah, it's
I love this. Josh was talking so much about these lights. There it is.
the P1 is a machine. Like it's nimble, it's fast, feels like
Beautiful.
yeah, it's I don't know, this is wild.
Bro, what do you have going on
I
here,
don't know,
bro?
dude, these freaking people.
I
Shout
get
out
you
Frank
gotta have a lot of
Stephenson.
insurance, but you can invest it in better lights.
I don't know.
It's a liability
P1's
thing.
insane. It's a lot of people's favorites. It's not mine. You wouldn't fit in it, right? Hands down.
A P1?
Yeah, it is tiny.
I'll make it work.
You've sat in a P1 seat.
I have some P1.
And how was it?
It's dog shit. It's absolute dog shit.
P1's cool.
I think I broke my back getting out of it, to be honest
Sure.
with you.
But like, you gotta career GT. You really gotta know how to drive and really be patient to drive that car.
Yeah.
You can't with the clutch. It's so interesting how it works. Like you can't fluctuate the clutch pedal with the gas. You have to be fully off the clutch before you give it gas. So that makes every stop sign. You see people at like stoplights. They're just you're waiting for them to go because you have to find that engagement point and then they go. It's not like right? So that the sound, the lack of traction, the position of the shift knob being right up here, it's such an experience. And if it was daytime, I'd let you take it out, but you'll understand after you drive that car for sure. The first time that car was the first Carrera GT I bought. The first Carrera GT I drove, and he brought it to the shop. We did exhaust, HRE wheels, and KW suspension. And I took it out for a test drive, and I was like, dude, when you're ready to sell this, you let me know. I was like joking because I was like, no way I can afford it. And then, I don't know, like 3 years later, he's like, hey, I'm gonna sell the car. Do you want it? I'm like, yes. And then he just shipped it to my house without even telling me. I was like, just figure it out later. And now I've had it for a year and a half.
You're
the blue one?
Yeah.
The greatest fucking clientele I've ever heard in my entire life, bro.
Dude, fish tank people, dude. They're fucking different.
I've
I've honestly been so fortunate.
That itself, I know you take care of people just from those stories.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, it's relationship, and the crazy thing about these guys is they're so private. A lot of these people, they don't even have Instagrams. They just like to be with their families.
Bro,
and
they
be
won.
Left alone.
They won.
Yeah, they
like
won.
life, the game, they won.
Yeah,
they're at
figured it
this
out.
fucking point, and this is their hobby. They won. They
Yeah.
don't need social media. They don't need none of that bullshit.
Yeah.
Don't buy my course. Fuck
Yeah.
you. All this shit.
I wouldn't be
like
on
that.
social media.
That's what I'm saying, bro. If I was at this level, there's no need for
Just
it.
need peace.
That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
The
Just
least
do
amount
my
of stress
thing.
possible, the healthiest family possible. That's all you need.
And the funny thing is,
And
they
the
say
sickest
sometimes
Fly to my home in Turks and Caicos.
Yeah.
I'm their biggest stress because I have to manage their cars. It's like, dude, fuck.
I hope you know you fucked yourself too. By the way,
What's that?
I'm 100% coming back here in daytime, and I'm gonna take that.
You can
down.
take it out for sure.
Thank
Yeah.
you very much. Then
I'm
after that, we'll
actually-
have an honest review about it, and then maybe I'll say some good shit about it. We'll see.
You're gonna be completely changed.
You really think so?
It changed me. I love Porsche, but after I drove that car, I really understand why people go crazy for that
You were
car.
an S580 guy, and then you drove that. and
Why
you
you think I'm S580 guy? Huh? Cause my beard?
Nah, I didn't say
I get
anything.
it, it's all good.
I didn't say anything. I did not say anything.
No, it's an incredible car, and it's such a crazy experience to be able to drive one. Honestly,
Can I ask you this? You might be the only person we've had on that's driven every subcategory of hypercar.
almost every
What have you not driven?
F50, which I mentioned, McLaren F1.
Shocking.
I think that's
Bro, what is the difference between?
I think that's it.
Bro,
An
what's it, like
F50 and
even the big three? What's in, or at least hypercar big three for me? What's the difference between driving like a Bugatti, Pagani, and a Koenigsegg? Does each of them? There's their little quirky differences.
there is honestly there's so I've Pagani. Let's start with Pagani. Pagani aesthetically is unbelievable. I've been to their factory. I've seen anything from the Zonda to the Huayra to the Utopia. They say.
Is that how they say it?
Yeah, if you say Utopia, they get pissed off.
Yeah.
We're gonna get canceled.
And it's so
Utopia.
impressive, but it's art. You know,
I'm not saying it like that.
I
Yeah, fuck
don't
you.
think, huh?
He's like, I'm not saying it like that.
I'm not saying
Fuck
it
you.
like
I'm
that.
saying it like that. Utopia. Fuck you.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. I just was.
Thanks for teaching me that.
I never forgot after he said that. But their cars are just so thought out the way they put it together, and I can't even imagine trying to spec one. Like you have so many options, and it's like, where do you start, right? So, driving one of them is like driving like a moving Picasso. Like it's just the sounds the shifting makes, like the clicks, the paddles, the engine behind you. It's a Mercedes V12, and all you hear is turbo. It's like whoosh, pop, and you're just like, what the fuck is going on? but it's scary to drive. I've driven one on the track briefly, and it was absolutely terrifying. Single clutch, has a ton of power, no grip. So I'm like ripping it, and
Single
then I'm like, I gotta chill out. But terrifying. Great car. I would not consider it to be the best performing car, right? You drive it because of the sound, the speed, it's an experience. And I think all these hypercars, they give you an experience that the other cars don't give you. And before I get into the other two, speaking of experience, before my ADHD kicks in more, the craziest experience I've had behind the wheel of any car doesn't come from a hypercar. It was actually an underground racing Aventador SVJ. And it's like 2,500 horsepower. And I took it out. We came here for wheels, suspension, Novatech bits, and it was the first one that was ever done by underground. It was the built block, built motor, big turbos, $1 million for the turbo kit. Not the car. $1 million for the turbo kit. Yeah.
That's no joke.
That's what they charge. It comes with a warranty. It comes with when you go to the drag strip, they ship out a crew to monitor the car to make sure it's good. So you get a lot of but it's $1 million.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It's no joke.
Dude,
So I remember it coming to the shop, and we finished our work.
They won the game. You're doing that? You won the game.
They do pretty well.
I'm sure the guy's got a non-modded SVJ too.
It's got a couple cars.
Keep going.
But I remember getting in, and I took one of the guys at the shop, and I called the customer like, hey, so like, what's the deal? How does this work? He's like, all right, put it on this setting. Make sure you have traction off, and when you go, it's gonna shift itself, and just make sure you have enough space. All right, let's go. So you have to drive it for like 20 minutes to make sure the transmission warms up, because it's all billet, to make sure that the tires are somewhat warm. And mind you, single clutch, you know how it is.
Yeah.
So I remember just getting on the 73, and I hammered down, and it just builds up boost, and then it went, and then pop, bop, and then like every gear that shifted, it's a different setting, like a different pounds of boost. So it goes like 10 psi, 12, 15, like whatever they have. But every gear was faster, and when you get to fourth gear, it's full boost. I never got to fourth gear, so I've been going like 700.
Yeah,
miles an
I
hour.
mean,
So,
fourth
like,
gear
we
in
went
that
like
car.
1, 2, 3, and my jaw was like for like 30 seconds. I could not move.
Bro blew a hole in his underwear. This
You
is
have no
fucking
idea.
big.
Yeah.
Fast forward a couple of days when I got a little comfortable. It was my 30th birthday, and I had my mom working for me at the time. She still works for me, but she's like, I was like, all I want for my birthday is to give you a ride in one of the cars. We'll just go for a cruise. Just come out with us. And she never goes in the cars. I don't drive crazy on the street. Honestly, I'm pretty conservative when it comes to driving on the street, just because I don't want anything to happen.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
It's not worth it. You know, I've been going to the track recently. I get all my energy out there, but so we'll just go for a cruise. You know, just gonna whatever. So I put a GoPro in the car, and she's like, all right, I gotta make sure I look good, like doing her makeup, and you know what's gonna happen. She doesn't know what it is. She just thinks it's a regular Lambo. So I throw her in the car.
Little did she know.
Little did she know. I drive around for 20 minutes to warm it up, and I'm like, all right, that's it. You know, did a couple like little just to hear the boost.
All right.
And she's like, oh, cool, okay. So we're heading back to the shop, and there's one straightaway left. So I pin it, and you can just see like the most natural reaction. She couldn't hide it. She's like shaking her. You see like a ghost leave her body, and then she's like shaking, like screaming. And then she gets back to the office, and she's like pale for like 3 days. She's never been the same since. And there's people. It's been on the
She's never
internet.
gotten back in a car with you either.
Yeah, pretty much, unless it's the truck.
Yeah.
And it's just people that come to the shop and be like, "Oh, you're the one from the video." You're like, so it's one of those things. If it was here, again, it's an experience. And that car, like I said, is hypercar level experience, because they build these cars to give you that like a feeling. Like it's not, you can't replicate it. These guys have so much money, and they've done everything with money. What gets them excited?
Yeah.
Let's build you
The next thing. What's the next thing?
3,000 horsepower car to make your balls.
They've
grow
already got
up.
the Revelto turbo kit dialed up. You see that?
I don't know if it's dialed up.
I was
I don't
like,
know about
dialed up.
dialed
I don't know
up.
about that. Like, I don't know if they broke the ECU to run like the boost they need to be running and the
But-
compression and stuff like that. But that shit
that
might be.
quick.
It was built enough for them to rev it.
They put that on quick.
Very fucking quick.
And they're able to start and rev it. I'm sure it has a lot to be done, because those cars are so damn finicky.
I'm sure
You
there's
guys-
a check engine light. But
Yeah, I mean,
but
we
it
had
revs.
one come in just for wheels and tires, and it had all kinds of lights just for the hood not opening, the doors not closing, not
It's a brand new
charging
car.
properly. Yeah, it's a lot of bugs with this car, and I'm really nervous because we're gonna get a lot coming in. I have one coming in myself in a few days actually. Been waiting for a while, and
Congrats.
Yeah, seriously.
I'm excited. I appreciate it. It was just to develop parts, but I'm not super excited given that everyone that's having issues with it, it's gonna make our lives miserable when we start modifying them. It's like, so
Bro, I feel like don't you go through with that every time something comes out new for at least the first
it's been
year
worse
or two?
for these newer hybrids, like the SF90. I'm almost like hesitant when people say they want an exhaust system. I say, hey, there's probably a chance you're gonna get a light of some sort, no matter what system you put on there, no matter what you do. Even if we don't touch the car, if I look at it, you're probably gonna get a check engine light. So the SF90 specifically is one of those where I'm very clear up front on that, and the Revuelto looks like it's gonna be that type
Similar
of car.
situation,
Yeah.
which is sad because it needs it.
It's a sick car. Yeah, they sound like
needs
shit
it.
stock. They
Well, that's the
sound-
whole thing. So, like, okay, let's go into a little
It
bit
looks
of the
like
topic.
it needs it.
Yeah.
Well, before all we heard about was Pagani.
Oh, that's true.
Oh,
Yeah,
what are the
don't
other two?
cheat me out of my own
Koenigsegg
question.
and
Koenigsegg. Yeah,
Bugatti?
both named Bugatti.
Yeah. You try to walk away from it.
Koenigsegg
Yeah,
good
is
catch.
Yeah, the ADD took
Oh,
over.
shit,
yeah, I
Josh.
told you, like a squirrel.
I had to bring us back.
It's all right.
Koenigsegg
I
is,
get it.
is an absolutely impressive company. I mean, what Christian's done with these cars and the engineering is mind-boggling. I almost think it's too over-engineered to where, you know, the cars aren't as reliable. I know they've had issues with the Regera, but the Agera RS and the CCX are just machines. Like, you get in them and it's like the way the doors open, the weave and the carbon, like it's a violent machine. And handling wise, I've been in one as a passenger on the track, and it is, you'd think it's like a GT3 RS. It's so big and so wide and so loud and so 1,500 horsepower, but it just handles like nothing else. So
Well,
I was
Laguna Seca record for a couple days.
super impressed.
Couple
Yeah,
days. Just a couple
super
days.
impressed. Crazy
Still
engineering.
crazy.
Definitely an experience. Bugatti, you know, I've talked to a lot of people that own them, and as a brand, they say it's their favorite. The way they take care of you, the way they deliver the cars, the experience after and during. It's not like these smaller brands like Pagani and Koenigsegg where, you know, it's more, you know, obviously it's Volkswagen, so they have a lot more money to allocate to customer service and the experience.
It's the
Whereas
Ritz
these-
Carlton.
Yeah,
Literally.
it's everyone. Yeah, Bugatti's an incredible brand, but you know they're very simple. You saw it. There's like 3 buttons,
That's it.
and that's about it.
You expect more. You get in and it's like, I don't know. I feel like driving that car for like a one-time thing is does such a disservice. Because like when I fucking hopped in it, I was just trying to like let me configure myself to what I'm fucking about to do. Then you start driving it and you're still trying to configure yourself. But then you hear like the W16 and you're like, oh, I've never even heard some shit
Oh,
like
yeah.
that before in my entire life.
That's like the Pagani. It's like
Literally.
that kind
Yeah.
of sound with the
It's-
turbos. And
I can't
yeah.
even describe. It literally just sounded like I was literally standing next to a jet engine. And,
And
it
you
just,
don't
it was
expect
just,
that.
You don't.
Like, you don't. People don't talk about it
'Cause
until
people-
you're in the car.
Not a lot of people know.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people
Yeah,
get the
yeah,
fucking
there's not a
ex-
lot of
not everyone
people
gets
to
to
talk
experience
about.
that shit.
Yeah.
Then on top
That's
of
why
that,
you're sitting here. That's why we're talking. To you.
Yeah.
We're trying to get the stories out there.
literally. Then you try to realize, okay, I'm trying to correlate. Okay, what do I feel here? What do I feel here? What's the whole feeling behind it? And then at the last moment, you go, oh, I'm driving M's. I was like,
Yeah. You
like
gotta
as
put
much
that-
as I want to
it's
whip
just a
this,
car.
yeah, it's just a whip at the end of
It's
the day.
just-
Yeah.
But I'm driving M's.
It can be
Yeah.
fixed.
Can it
It's-
though?
I
For M's.
I got rid of that mindset a long time ago. Not just because, yeah, like I said, at the end of the day, it's just a car. I obviously I'm like cautious about how you drive and whatnot, but I'm actually like I have to drive these cars hard because if the customer's out of state and he's not local, the last thing you want to do is have a car come back. You got to pay for that tow. You got to pay for this and that. So I have to, when I do my test runs, I have to
Get on that
get
shit.
on it, and it's pretty fun. But like,
I don't hate it actually.
I don't hate it, but it's responsible. But you just
Yeah.
have to make sure you drive it the way they would drive it, and it doesn't have issues. So can't complain.
So, what's your favorite experience out of the 3? You think?
Pagani, Koenigsegg, and Bugatti.
Yeah.
I'd say Pagani.
Yeah.
Honestly, as
How visceral it is.
yeah, and it's just if I was to just have it something on the streets, that's
Mhm.
a car I would go with.
What about the Apollo? Who's worked on an Apollo?
It's coming here tomorrow. I'm picking it up actually because we're gonna put a different set of wheels, and it's just a track car.
That's it.
There's nothing street about it. Like
Yeah.
it's got sequential gearbox. It's got straight cut gears. You can't see anything out of it.
That's fucking.
It's got air jacks.
It's crazy that that's a track car. because it doesn't
dude, there's
look like a
n-
track car.
There's
It looks,
nothing like it.
it doesn't look like a road car either, but like
looks like a spaceship.
That was
Yeah,
it.
it's its own thing.
Yeah, you look at that thing and you just stare at it for hours.
it
just-
looks like the Hot Wheels.
Yeah, the wing, the exhaust, the sounds, like it is. The interior, it's literally a toy.
It's crazy.
It is insane. There's nothing like it.
It's the billionaire's playground toy.
Yeah.
So what about like, I mean, you're throwing wheels on an Apollo. Are there additional complications to that, or is it just like throwing wheels on anything else?
Well, for that car specifically, you know, we had the engineering team from HRE come out. So they scanned the car, took the wheels off, scanned the brakes, scanned the axle, scanned the stock wheels, make sure everything was good. Did a test fit. So there's obviously a lot that goes into it if they've never done a car.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, you're just putting wheels on a car.
Yeah.
But it's picking the right wheel, picking the right finishes, picking the right fitment, making sure that's all good, and then having the customer decide that you're the guy that's going to do it, and it's a good time.
I can't imagine getting to that point.
Are there only 2 of them in
There's
America?
10 total.
Yeah. We
in
got 2 here.
There's 2 here. I know there's 1 in Florida. I know of 4 in the States.
There was 2 at the show yesterday. That's what's
Which is
crazy.
absolutely ridiculous,
And,
dude.
yeah.
The fact that there's 2 at the show yesterday, disgusting, dude.
Yeah, they're insane.
Yeah.
They're absolutely nuts.
They are wild cars. It's
Yeah.
seeing one of those is. I was pulling up to Cars and Copters, and it's like I saw a Pure Sport, which is like my favorite car, so that was fun. To see
Yeah,
on
that's
the
the one
road,
that we-
it's
we-
one thing when it's in the show in a
Mhm.
parking lot. Seeing it like roll down the street is just kind of a different experience. So love seeing a Pure
That
Sport.
one's cool. It's got the 2 different colored seats and stuff.
Yeah, beautiful. And then you got the, and the next thing is just there's like a Wyra BC and then the Apollo, and they're all like pulling into the show, and you're just like, what a weird experience to see these cars on the road.
Yeah, all owned by one person.
Yeah, literally.
I just remember the first Cars and Cop. We had the luxury of going to the very first one, and I remember at that time the collection of cars that was assembled. Like
Mhm.
prior, there was no fucking assembly like that ever before.
Yeah.
Like, I think
No.
they had shipped
just-
over like
it
the
was
first Regera.
Dan
too.
M.I.'s whole garage, or Dan I.M., whatever.
Yeah.
His whole garage was there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
literally.
him and Jeffrey are the ones that kind of put it together,
Yeah.
That's
and
it.
they did a great job. And I think it's 6th year now.
It's freaking awesome.
It's crazy what they
I
did
remember
there.
being like going and being a spectator, and at the time like seeing everything and like seeing that many Bugattis lined up, that many Koenigseggs, Paganis, just fucking blowing my mind. And then like
That was
go-
like the prime. That those years.
Oh,
That was like the prime when they had the. You guys are from obviously LA, but they had like a Cars and Coffee at Lambeau Newport Beach when it was in Costa Mesa.
mm-hmm. Supercar Sundays.
Yeah, I think it was that, and that's
They're
when
the-
like people were just starting to get these hypercars, and that was I think like I remember the first time going to one I saw. Who's that baseball player that had that crazy P1?
C.J. Wilson.
Yeah, that was the first one I went to, and that car was there. I was like,
My
"Dude,
favorite
what the
P1.
hell is
That thing's
this?"
so sexy.
Yeah, yeah, thing was
You're
badass.
like, what are you talking about?
I don't. What's the spec?
It's like a color changing.
Yeah, like chroma
Oh,
flare
yeah.
color
Oh,
on a
fuck me.
P1.
Okay, I know
Yeah.
exactly what we're talking about. I know
Yeah.
exactly
C.J.
what we're
Wilson, the
talking about
pitcher, he had one,
now.
and then he
Fuck.
tried to
Sick.
become a race car driver, or kind of is.
He has a shop, or he owns Porsche in Fresno now, something like that.
Yeah,
couple
he
dealerships.
he is doing he's like the BAC mono dealer too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, those are cool.
Yeah, that's one of the cars. Stupid Rich Gavin has one of those as a toy for sure.
They're not that expensive.
I don't know.
They're what, under 200 grand, right? For a
I
used
think they're
one?
like maybe for a used one.
Yeah,
like the mono
Talk
R's.
about bang for buck.
The mono
I
R's
mean,
now are like 250.
Yeah, dude.
But
like,
that
you don't
is
need
like
a passenger.
that
Just
is
get in
on-
that thing and
that is-
rip.
that is only a toy. Like that is
So are these.
that's got to be your sixth
That's true.
option.
These are all at the
Second
end of the day.
option.
These
You
are
got a
technically
Raptor
toys.
R and you got a Bachmann. Like, fuck you. You're not getting in my car.
Hey, you know what? That's not the worst lineup.
If you want a car that you want to go to canyons with and rip around on and not have to deal with the passenger,
It can't get any better than that.
get that thing, dude. It's
You know, I
sick.
saw on the way home from Cars and Copters, I saw an Elva driving down the 405.
Really?
Yeah,
With a helmet?
yeah, helmet.
Sick.
I was just like, I'm far. This guy was not going to Cars
Yeah.
and Copters. I'm far from
Oh, he
Cars. and-
wasn't? Oh.
I'm up in LA, like in LA at this point, like by the just before the airport, pretty much.
Yeah.
Because I'm driving back. I'm in Sherman Oaks.
That's
And
far.
all of a sudden, I'm like, a little red flare catches my eye, and I look up,
It's an
Elva, rolling down the highway, guy in a helmet. I'm like, what? This would have been the craziest thing there today, probably.
Yeah.
Where we live is that luxury though.
Yeah, where we live is
Like
weird.
you don't see that shit. Like again, Miami, Florida, that might be another one. Some oil
Not
spots
even,
in
dude.
Texas.
You see like weird stuff in Miami.
You been to Miami before?
I've been there a few times this
You
year.
see an orange
and
Chiron Pure Sport.
I've seen it all.
That's it.
I know Dave Cars. He's got a crazy Bugatti collection. But the style in Miami is just, they don't got it at all.
You don't think so?
And the thing that bothers me the most is when people put wheels on a car and they don't lower it. Nothing bothers me more when you put when you aftermarket wheels on stock suspension. That's like the biggest no-no for sure. In my
So you
opinion.
don't think Miami has a swagger like that, huh?
Zero.
Creative director? That's
There's
crazy.
some. There's
That's
some
me.
people.
That's
some
me
place,
right now,
but,
by
like,
the way.
the
and it
average.
hurts.
I mean, you've heard this saying. I don't know if it's just saying, but if someone's doing something to a car, I'm like, dude, you can't do that. That's way too Miami.
My car is for sure Miami.
What is the style of
Embarrassingly
Miami?
enough.
Let's hear it.
I'm gonna get a lot of hate.
Let's do it. Let's do
I
it.
got friends in Miami, but it's true. It's like, I don't know,
Don't say anything we can't post as a clip.
crazy, colorful wraps with crazy wheels that don't match, don't fit, stock suspension. That's the thing that bothers me most. Is this?
It's the humidity. It gets.
It's
no,
not the humidity, dude.
It's the lack of
It
fitment.
fucks with the brain after so long.
And I know their roads aren't as good, so they can't lower the cars as much. I know that's a part of it.
That's
And
my problem. I
know
can't
they
get in
have
my
to have
driveway.
the cars high enough to make sure they don't hit any iguanas. I get it. But at the end of the day, Miami has their own style, and it's maybe they love it, but I'm
You're
cool.
supposed to hit the iguanas. They're invasive.
Yeah, they just freeze up.
That's part of you're doing the Lord's work if you hit an iguana.
But I can't tell you how many people have said you need to open a place in Miami. Just do it, Miami. There's there's nothing out
Bro,
there.
you're a problem solver. Supposedly you'd be solving a fucking problem. You
Well,
go
the
over
problem
there and
is
start
he'd have to
orchestrating
turn away everyone because they'd be wanting him to do things that he didn't want
I'd
to
be
do.
like, listen, brother.
shit. Yeah. This is my
can't-
friend.
I
This
can't
is
do
my
this
friend.
build.
No,
Let me just handle this.
I
Let me
can't do
just
this. I
handle
can't
You
do
do it. You do it my way or
Yeah.
no way?
this. No way.
Let's have it your way. Have it your way. Is
Yeah.
it Burger King?
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah, there's a lot of.
This isn't Burger
questionable-
King here.
Yeah, used to be.
Chili's. It used to be Chili's.
Dude,
What position were you at
That's
Chili's?
wild.
I've been wanting to ask that this whole time. So I know you
So,
weren't. I know you weren't
I-
waiting tables.
I wasn't.
Yeah.
Okay, so
That's where the all black
We'll
shoes come
rewind
from.
to the beginning of it.
Yeah.
So I applied for a job
The
there,
swagger.
and
Talking about swagger. He's wearing all black. Get the fuck out of here. Purdy.
it's just the what my boss makes me wear, part of the uniform. I remember applying there. It was on this main street in Northern California, and I was going like place to place trying to get a job. I think it was 18 or 19. And I applied for a job, and I nailed it with the manager. I'm still in contact. She's still one of my friends today, and she just started me off as a server. And I'm like, am I supposed to be a host first? Like, does it work? She goes, no, your personality is you're gonna be a server. So I started as a server, and I sucked. Like, I was forgetting everything because my ADHD, autism, whatever.
I feel you.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
But
You are
I was messing things up, this and that. But once I figured it out, I became dialed. So I was really good at it. I mean, I had a lot of great feedback, winning a lot of competitions. By competitions, like sales numbers and whatnot. And then became a cocktail server. And then when I turned 21, I became a bartender. And then I got fired because I got in a fight with someone. And then that led me
It was their
into
fault.
my first job with a small tuning shop in Northern California. And then from there, it just turned into this.
The
Thank
rest
God
of
you got fired, huh?
Yeah. I think I've gotten fired from everywhere I've worked.
it. Even here.
Multiple times. Yeah. I'm on a short leash here. Like, short.
Look in the mirror. You're
Yeah.
fired.
Motherfucker.
Yeah.
I love
pretty
Chili's.
wild.
I'm not gonna lie. Best dessert.
Yeah, I
ever
was saying,
created.
as much
Molten
as I don't
lava
want to
cake?
continue the
Yeah.
Chili's talk, the molten lava cake.
I
is
just
the
had one
most
last week.
Top,
I mean, it
top
blows me
tier
away.
shit in the world.
You can't beat it.
I mean, it's pretty good.
It stands up to anything.
Mastro's butter cake.
It stands up to it.
You really think so?
It
It
gets me,
holds the
like
candle?
cracked out when I have that one. There's so much sugar. It's
In the butter cake?
overloading. Yeah.
No, 100%.
Like overloading.
It's so
It's
sweet.
fire though. With the ice cream and the little
But the molten lava
Josh
cake.
does.
Watching that fudge just drip out.
questionable.
Very-
Yeah.
very-
Hey, I'm not gonna lie.
no diddy, no diddy, no diddy.
Good thing is I make the clips, so we won't.
All right, cool.
we
Yeah.
won't clip that one.
He's
out.
gonna fuck us.
Bro, what are you into my
He's gonna make
life?
it somehow like I said that.
Yeah. I'm gonna use AI to change the voice
Yeah,
to
for
you.
sure. That's not good.
So you've got that's the Blue Carrera GT.
Yeah,
That's your 997.
yeah.
That's probably my favorite generation of GT3 RS too.
It's a great car. I mean, it's like I said. I know you hate it. You gotta drive it, man. If you've only driven 991 and newer, you're not
Bro,
experiencing.
teach me.
Teach you how to drive stick.
No. Teach me. Like, let me drive the car. Teach me
Yeah,
what.
I know, it's-
Show me the point of why
Yeah,
these things
if-
are such great machines.
If you're ever around, I'll be happy to
because
take you.
my biggest thing is the experience.
Mhm.
I mean, just like you, the way you've been talking about experience, what the car brings, that's exactly how I am. For me, my fucking car, I can't name a better experience to date. Besides the fucking Bugatti.
Oh, like yeah, V12 doors go up, banging gears. I get it. but
Screens.
it's a different.
Show
it's a
me how
different
this
experience.
shit, these German shit boxes are gonna compete
German
with
shit box. 9999.
99997.
Because I already know that you fucking have worked on probably a handful of Aventadors that you're at this point. This is fucking tiring for you. Aventador.
We've worked on a lot of Aventadors since they first came out. Yeah, I mean, Centenario, SVJ, Ultimate, every variation since 2012. They've had what?
Pirelli
12,
edition.
12 years of
Pirelli edition.
Aventador.
Can I ask you a question you're not gonna like?
Absolutely.
I think this is a perfect opportunity to ask this question too. But I only ask this to people that I consider very educated and high quality in the realm.
You're gonna be pissed.
What is the best metal to make an exhaust out of?
Oh, here we go.
You're one of the
Define
top
best, though.
dogs.
What's it for?
I don't know, you wanna go
For
now?
what we do, a rear section and titanium is great. It sounds good. It's lightweight. It looks cool, and it gets the job done. I mean, it's. I'm never gonna say it's as strong as stainless or Inconel because it's not. But for limited track use, for a catback exhaust system, it's incredible. But do we do Inconel? Do we do stainless? Absolutely. On things that are closer to the header or the header itself, we don't use titanium because it'll break. But if you use the right titanium, you use the right techniques, and you get the metal from the right source, it's not going to be like what everyone's talking about. Because what everyone talks about is, oh, it's brittle, it's crap. And ever since you guys did that freaking episode, people have called me and said, I don't want to use titanium because it cracks.
Oh, I'm
So thank
sorry.
you, man.
We're
It's
setting
fine.
I didn't
fucking
mean to do
trends,
that.
baby.
No,
That's
I
what I'm
didn't
talking
mean to do
hear
that
it
too.
all the time, and it's fine. People can say it. It's not bulletproof. Things break, but to say titanium is not superior is not correct.
I guess at the end of the day, you're still selling an exhaust.
We're doing okay. We're
Do you
fine.
know how much joy it brings me for him to get a phone call?
To
and be
know
like, dude,
that
I don't
we've
know. I saw that clip. I don't want to
They,
use
they
it.
don't even mention it, but I know what they're referring
He's sitting there.
to.
He's like, these motherfuckers.
And it's
they're
fi- it's
making my.
fine.
they're
Or
making my
or
life
they
hell.
or they had some buddies, order stuff off of
Alibaba
AliExpress or something
or-
like that, and then it cracked.
Optronic
yeah,
or
and
some
and,
shit.
and
You're gonna
not-
do
yeah,
our guy dirty.
I'm not here to talk crap about anyone.
He wore the shirt. He wore the shirt.
Yeah, it's not my thing, but everything has its ups and downs, and nothing's bulletproof.
Pros and cons.
Yeah, it's
I think that's the biggest thing. That what you just said. Nothing's bulletproof. I feel like
Yeah.
we've come to a world where modifying a car, people have made it seem so easy and so plug and play. Like everybody can just do it. At the end of the day, bro, it's fucking not that case. You gotta do something.
Benji.
I think yours had just done. Anyways, what I was going back to what I was saying, the world of modifications, like just not even like tuning is an example, but like even just people
but
make
even
it seem
stock. If you get a car that's stock, stuff still breaks. That's why there's
100%.
warranties. That's why there's 7-year maintenance plans, because these things break from the factory. And if you take a stock exhaust system off of these cars, you'll see how shit it is compared to anything aftermarket.
no 100%.
Like the welds are done like from Helen Keller for sure. Like she's like,
Helen Keller's got a job for
yeah,
us. I heard
no,
welds
no,
and
but
shit.
Well,
anything you-
Giuseppe's smoking a cigarette while he's welding it.
yeah, it's bad. So like,
Yeah, Josh's uncle's out there. Fucking
yeah, smoking a hookah and she's like, what up? But yeah,
Habib, don't worry.
everything breaks, no matter what. And
That's
if-
the whole thing. But I think people want to live in a day and age where they think everything's just supposed to be bulletproof, but that's just not.
There's
fucking
some that are
reality.
better than others,
These things
for
are
sure.
made to be pushed and destroyed
Yeah.
and rebuilt and actually in between. That's why our businesses exist for that specific reason.
If it didn't break, I mean, obviously we wouldn't be in business.
Exactly, we'd have no fucking point. I mean, you would still try to make shit look pretty with wheels and shit like that, but
Right.
Wheels break too.
very true.
Wheels
I'm actually
bend, they crack. I mean, no matter what brand, no matter what you use, stuff still breaks.
I'm actually waiting for my AL13s to break. Supposedly they have a fucking weak point by the stem. It's like a I guess like a fucking thing, a problem with them. I'm waiting any day those things are fucking gonna crack.
I'm just glad the people aren't on forums as much as they were, because that was always.
Oh, you're talking to a big forum.
I was a
fucking
big forum
superstar.
guy too, but
Yeah.
now it's just kind of
Forum
dying
superstar
out,
right here.
and all the information that was on there, people were like, oh,
It's all outdated.
it's all outdated.
You go to a link, it's 12 years old, nothing
and,
there.
and to be honest, my target audience, my target customer isn't a car guy, a real car guy. Don't get me wrong; these guys are all real car guys, but the true enthusiasts that know every nut and bolt on a car and think they know everything about everything, I don't want them as a customer.
no.
Because
Yeah,
they
yeah,
probably
yeah.
know
That's
more
the
than
last
me.
person you want.
They probably know more, and then and I don't want to deal with it. They're like, this should be this price, this should be this torque, this should be this. I'm like, dude, you know what? Just please go somewhere.
Yeah,
Go to
bro.
West Coast Customs,
Bro,
please.
please take your Supra somewhere else, bro. Please, dog.
Yeah, I can't deal with that. I have to be able to.
Put a bin pack in your garage, and you know.
and
do
they,
your
and they
shit
will,
yourself.
and they will. But our target is generally just guys that want something cool,
Sorry,
and they
a
want to
rotary
rely
lift.
on someone that can do something with it.
What modifications have you done on your shitbox?
My shit box,
Yeah, the other one, the one over here. Not that one, the other one.
the blue one,
The blue one, yeah.
suspension, wheels, and exhaust,
That's it?
seat inserts, carbon shift knob.
Is that is that factory paint or?
No, that's a wrap. I'm actually taking it.
Oh,
off.
it's a wrap.
So we just did a marketing deal with Inazatech. It looks like Gulf Blue. Everyone thinks it's paint because their technology with the wrap stuff these days is crazy. It's like
Yeah, it looks great.
you can't even see any orange peel. It's actually paint on film, and if you get like a micro scratch, you can polish it out. So it's insane. And now
That's
they
what I'm
have
saying, which is
colored
fucking
PPF.
crazy, yes.
They have wraps
Colored
that are
PPF
bigger.
is crazy.
UPPF is going crazy right
Yeah.
now.
So it's no point repainting a car anymore because you're in collision
Well, no one should ever fucking repaint a car. Just doing that in my
unless
opinion
it's
is
like a
absolutely idiotic.
vintage car.
Exactly. You're
Yeah.
restoring something. That's the only time. But I get people that come to me like, "How much to paint a car?" And I'm like,
Dude,
I'm not even entertaining
Not
that
a new
question.
car.
I'm not entertaining
I see people
that question.
repainting these
Yeah, go to Mako.
these
Yeah,
new cars.
for real,
I'm
go
like,
fuck
dude,
yourself.
what
Go
are
to
you
Calibre.
doing repainting a
$4.99.
Ferrari? What are you doing repainting a $500,000 car?
It
That
doesn't make any sense.
just wrap it.
Exactly. It doesn't
If
make
you're
any
over
sense.
it, just take it wrap.
Well, I
it.
think the problem is there's too many places that don't do quality jobs. So people have seen what the negative side of wraps
Yeah.
can do, and that kind of destroys it. But if you do it properly, you take care of it properly,
That's
you
what
do
we
what's
did
supposed to
this.
be there.
Yeah.
No, 100%.
So they see this, we take it out
garage
to car
queen over here?
shows. They're like, "This is a wrap. Oh, cool. You can wrap my 488. You can wrap my GT2, but and it looks like paint. And you can take it off and sell the car, and your paint's protected. And you just, like I said, you get bored. You got a new look. So
Wins all around.
Let's say I wanted to wrap my Aventador in that color. What do you think something like that would run me?
like 10 grand.
10 grand?
Yeah, if you do door jams, that film is a lot more difficult to work with. It's not elastic.
Doesn't stretch as
So
much.
it costs more to get the film. It costs more to install it because it takes longer. And then what separates a regular wrap shop from a cheaper one? Obviously, the material is the same across the board, right? It's X amount for a roll, but it's your prep. You know, you're taking the car apart. Who's taking the car apart, or do they just want to wrap it and kind of tuck under panels versus taking them off and tucking it under it? So that's where you see the difference in people's quality in wraps is the prep and the assembly and disassembly. So there's a lot more to it than just throwing vinyl on a car.
You're taking everything off.
Everything.
Wrapping it.
That's how it's done.
Putting it back
properly.
on.
Yeah, even with
it's supposed to be done
PPF,
properly.
you know, to do PPF right, a lot of people don't take anything off, but you got to take mirrors off to not have seams. Somebody got to take headlights out. Little things, not as much as a wrap, but you should be taking cars apart, and you should know what you're doing when you're taking them apart in order to do it right.
This may be stupid, but just always kind of wondered. The everyone listening is probably like, "This is a dumb question. I already knew this." The badges on the car, you take them off. You just
We always buy new badges.
New
we
badges.
don't retape.
I would say no. Yeah,
Okay.
re-adhesive, retaping
yeah, I was about
shit.
to say
Hell
you
That's all it is,
reback
yeah.
them in 3M.
No, fuck
No,
it. Just
and
buy
they're
new
not
ones.
cheap.
No,
No.
they're not.
We just did a
Bro,
Maybach. It's
I
like
can imagine-
$1,500 for emblems.
Bro, you want to hear the funniest
Wow.
fucking thing? Toyota front badges, because of the radar, the sonar being there. That I had to pay. I think I paid like $400 for a fucking Toyota front emblem, like on shit you see on a Camry. $400,
Well, how much is a Ferrari shield?
Honestly,
pricey.
yeah, but you don't. That one you're
That's
not gonna paint it. It's a metal shield.
Yeah, it's a little bit different.
But they do charge $15,000 to paint when they do painted shields on cars. When you see the hand painted ones, it's $15,000 option or $20,000 option.
It's fucking crazy. Huh?
But
that's
yeah,
wild.
like when people want a blackout package on a car and they want the emblems black, yeah, painting the emblems doesn't cost much. But the emblems themselves, if you want to get like Mercedes, you can't retape the eye or the dot on the eye without it looking like crap. A, you have to be precise when you put it back on. And B, you have to be precise when you cut each little tape line, and you'll see it. It'll never be like factory.
Never.
It'll never be as thin. So we always just say, hey, you can do it right. You buy emblems. I mean, we're gonna buy emblems from the factory and retape them because they have eBay and Amazon emblems you get, but you can tell they're Amazon or eBay
dog
because they just start peeling differently. So we always buy factory emblems from the dealership, paint them, or just put them back the way it is, no matter what we do. That's the way you have to do it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, your
Yeah.
clientele are the people that
Yeah, they'll pay for
don't
it.
ask questions.
Yeah,
They want the best.
yeah.
You do the best.
We half the time we don't even quote them.
That's why we're here.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean,
You don't
I don't think that I never think that there's always shops that are better than you, but I'm very fortunate to have the client base that I've developed and develop good relationships with them, to where I don't have to fight for their business or have to do anything to keep the shop busy.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, not to toot your own horn, but I can definitely see the way that you are and the relationships you probably have with these people, and I can understand why the trust and build and how you able to build such a reputable brand. It's very evident.
And it helps. It's kind of weird, but it helps owning these cars too. I never in a million years thought I'd have a Carrera GT, obviously, right? But when I was given the opportunity, I was able to afford it. Now I really understand how, like, I'm very particular with it. Like, I don't want someone to sit in it a certain way. I don't want people to just keep moving it around. Like, we park cars strategically so we don't have to get in and out of them, because every time you get in and out of one of these cars, you risk creasing a leather or damaging Alcantara. So by having these cars and having the experience of dealing with my own shop, and even when I send it to the dealership, like I have to send it to get that recall, that $100,000. You heard about that?
Yeah.
Porsche had a recall on these cars, and you can't drive.
Yeah,
it
tell us
for
about that. A recall, $100,000 is what Porsche's spending on every single one of these cars.
It's like 109 grand in parts. You couldn't drive the car for 18 months. I drove the shit out of it. But because of that, they're like, all right, we'll give you a $3,500 credit towards any service and a free set of Michelin tires because you weren't allowed to drive your car. So now
Sponsored by Michelin.
there's $109,000 in parts you're getting for free, plus that. So my car's going in there pretty soon. But I've even these dealerships suck.
Dude,
Like,
the dealerships are the worst.
You would
They
expect
suck.
them to trust them. You think that they know what they're doing, this and that.
Fuck
But
no.
I've had so many nightmare experience just from communication, delays, cars coming back with damages, paint issues, like all these problems when you think you're going to the best.
Bro, it's corporate structure.
It's the worst.
It's the worst
You're just
thing
like, send me the
possible.
parts.
Yeah.
Let me do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Do you know who you're talking to right now? Just send
But-
me
but
the
I was-
shit and I will do it.
But it's good for me to experience that, because now I know from a customer's perspective how much better we are than these dealerships.
Yeah.
And people understand, they see it. So even if, like, we had these two pieces here, so they have a 7-year free maintenance package, but they're coming here to service. They don't want to deal with the dealership.
Fuck no, dude.
So they'll pay
Isn't that
us
crazy?
to service the car.
Even Ferrari.
Bro,
Because you think about Porsche, it's
especially
it's
them.
one thing to you got techs that are
Especially
working on.
Ferrari.
especially them.
You got the same techs working on a Macan. Turn around. You don't want them touching a Carrera GT.
No, bro. You think
Well,
those guys
the
But
Carrera
Ferrari-
GT they have a special.
I'm
tech
sure.
for
I'm
it.
sure they
I'm
have
just
a
saying
special
they
set of
only
techs.
yeah.
I know. I'm kind of joking.
What are you fucking saying, dude?
It's not the Macan
Oh,
S
God.
guy working on the car.
Yeah.
But Ferrari, it's like it's all Ferrari.
You think though, but
You
like
would
a lot of these guys, they get these cars. It's their first Ferrari, right? It's like, okay, I'm gonna take it to deal with it, and they think that's just how it is.
Right.
They're like, oh, this is just how it works. They just treat you like crap, and that's just part of it until they experience something better. So that's what we try to do.
It's
Until
rare
they
to have a
come sit
good
with the
experience at a
Persian, they're like,
dealership. I
okay.
know that much, huh?
No, 100%. So they come sit with the Persian. They're like, oh, fuck, this is the experience I've been trying to curate this entire time.
Yeah.
I love it. You get down to the questions? What do you think?
If you're ready for it.
What,
to
you
you.
guys have like scripted questions?
Oh,
At
fuck
the
yeah.
end,
Oh God.
You have no idea. This whole entire podcast has been a build up to these 3 questions, so I can sit here and judge the living shit out of you right now. Are you ready for this?
There's something else. There was.
something else.
Oh
What is it? I want to hear it.
no, I forgot. You were talking about how the customers, they don't like their car stock.
Oh yeah. So yeah, a little bit. We were talking prior to even hopping on, and my biggest thing was crazy. We were talking about the
Cars
car
being
sitting in
stored
front of
here.
here. Yeah, and the fact that this gentleman bought this car, and instead of being like, "Let me go drive it first," he's like, "No, I need to ship it out for X, Y, and Z." And you know what he tells me? He says that like a LaFerrari is actually boring stuff.
I
He
wouldn't
said
say
he said a 918 was boring
Well,
stuff.
yes.
Well, I guess you said all of them were boring stuff.
underwhelming. I wouldn't say boring. I
underwhelming.
Can
say
you
if
imagine
the average
the world
person,
to live in that? To be able to sit in a position to look at me as a peasant and go, LaFerrari is boring.
No.
Stop.
Okay, so a lot of these guys, they're not local, like I said, right? And they'll buy a car. They're not going to have a car that's right next to them. They're gonna live in New York, buy a car from California, and store it in Connecticut, right? So they find a car, they buy it.
They won.
They're like, okay, I don't want to take delivery of the car until it's how I want it. So I'm going to ship it straight to your shop, and when you're done with it, I'll take delivery of it. So we'll get a car that's, like I said, this LaFerrari's been sitting here for months because he didn't want to drive it stock. He's like, I don't want to see it on stock wheels. I don't want to hear it with a stock exhaust. I only want to drive it modified. Same with the 918 and Carrera GT. A ton of new cars that come in, SF90, like this guy with this orange one. As soon as it landed, he saw it at the dealership, went from Ferrari straight to us. We did the wheels, PPF. Parts were already made. Like, he ordered the parts halfway through his a year after, sorry, he ordered the parts right when he ordered the car. So we had these wheels. He didn't know the car was gonna take 3 years. No one did. We had these wheels sitting here for 2 years. Yeah.
You hold that shit for that long?
Special people.
Right.
Special
You know,
people.
we
Yeah,
didn't
Special
know
people.
because usually at that time when we ordered the wheels, H3 was backed up, like a 12-week lead time. So he's like, I don't want to have the car sitting there on stock wheels, so I'm gonna get these wheels ordered now. When the car shows up, bang it out, and it's good to go. So that's a big part of our business is brand new cars from the dealer. We'll do wheels, tires, suspension, exhaust, PPF, tint, and then the customer takes delivery and he's never driven it stock. Big part of it.
Yeah.
For me, it's just mind-boggling.
They won.
Mind-boggling. That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
They won.
mind-boggling.
That's
I
the
mean,
thing. It's hard. It's hard to
it's-
like even. It's a
I gotta
different
get there.
world.
I
Yeah,
gotta-
Some of
yeah.
these
gotta
cars
get
aren't
there.
fun to
I
drive
want to
stock.
be there too, especially after you've had all the other stuff.
If you see, you hear, you drive with your friends, or you see it online, it's like, dude, you get into a stock, and you're like, this kind of sucks.
Yeah, honestly, that is pretty fair.
It's kind of garbage.
Even my shit, pre-exhaust, post-exhaust, was fucking eons worth of it.
Oh,
I-
it's a
for
night
me
and
to
day.
sit here and say that a non-stock Aventador was boring is
And it obviously sounds bad when you say it, but when you've experienced it, you understand
you
it, right?
understand it
Then
completely.
there's
when
levels
When
to
you
it,
have a bunch of cars and you know how much better a car is when you've done stuff to it, then you're like, all right, that's all I want.
That part I get. For me, I guess it's just where I'm at. To say these cars are boring stock is hard for me to even imagine.
But he at some point would never have thought the same thing either.
That's true.
You know?
Now he's got fucking 2 of them.
Yeah, a couple of them.
How about this? When
fucking
you're
awesome.
approaching like an exhaust build for something you haven't done an exhaust build on before, what are some of the challenges you're trying to overcome with creating that, making
Well,
something
we
that
try to
sounds
keep,
great?
you know, no matter what car it is, we try to keep it as OEM as possible as far as what they did to make it work. These newer cars are a different ballpark. Like the SF90, you're dealing with a bunch of electrical things that you didn't have to deal with before. You have GPF, which is like a gas particle filter, which is like an additional cat, which when you take it out, the car doesn't just throw a code, it goes into limp mode.
Yeah, the car like literally.
You can't drive
fucking-
the car,
yeah.
period.
Car has
So
an
now
aneurysm.
Yeah. Now you're dealing with this stuff on these newer cars that is a way bigger nightmare because you have to get a delete module or you have to tune it out, but you can't tune it out because the ECU is locked. So that's a whole other ballpark and a nightmare. But things like, you know, a lot of the other cars, a 488, a Pista, STO, these cars, when we're developing the systems, it's more just what can we do to make it sound good? What can we do to make sure it doesn't lose power? And what can we do to make sure it's repeatable and easy to manufacture for the most part?
And for the people that don't know anything out there, when you're what affects the volume the most and what affects the pitch the most?
The material you use, you know, the thickness of the material, the diameter of the piping, the flow of the piping, or they have an X pipe, an H pipe, or
Does
just
what?
straight. The way the gases merge
Yeah.
and the way the gases interact with each other is either going to be high pitch, low pitch, back pressure, no back pressure. There's a bunch of different factors that go into it, and it's never, you know, home run on the first try. That's what R&D is for. So we always try to, you know, do a couple variations, see what sounds good, and then we make sure that it doesn't affect anything else. You know, for the most part, a catback system, you're not going to gain power from it. You're just going to save weight and get a good sound. The goal is not to lose any power from it, but at the end of the day, you're talking about like 3 to 5 horsepower, maybe 10.
Yeah.
The power comes from everything before that. You know, the headers, the downpipes, whatever you do with that, and the tuning process of where you're going to really feel the power. But aside from that,
You more of a screaming F1 sound or like a classic
it depends
Mercedes
on the car.
AMG
I don't like
C63
full-
rumble?
It depends on the car. A C63 shouldn't sound like an
But he's a
F1.
Porsche guy. He's used to no sound. Come on now. You know that.
Have you heard this car?
We'll turn on after
Bro,
this.
this
I will.
car.
Wait till you hear it. I will.
Bait him.
It's-
Bait him.
I got him.
These
I'm
cars-
just saying,
I'm in his
there's-
head.
there's-
I'm in his head.
The
These
first time I drove
CGTs
that
sound
car, it's-
horrible.
Yeah, they sound like
They
they
sound
sound
like-
like trash.
They sound like trash.
Stock,
No
they sound like
sound.
trash.
The stock actually sounds good. It's a 95-pound muffler. That our system is like 8.5 pounds. So just by removing that, the car, you already feel the difference, right?
Yeah.
But
It's a V6.
they're very
Sorry,
tuned.
i6.
It's very very tuned to have a very distinct sound from the factory. So when we're selling the system to guys, they're like, I don't want to lose that pitch, but just give me more volume. So that's how we designed the system to make it have the same pitch and tone that they're known for, but not be as quiet as
Just
it
turn the
is.
dial up a little bit.
Yeah.
So CGT sound or LFA? V10
CGT
battle.
for sure.
CGT.
You're
Yeah.
asking the most biased motherfucker here.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, dude. What am I gonna say? LFA.
Right, exactly.
I
Alexis.
mean,
real, bro.
Yamaha.
Yeah, it's not like
did
I
a-
would say it's not like
did a
Yamaha
great job.
involved themselves to
Right.
make a shit system.
They
like
should
Sounds
that.
like it
They
sounds
should
great.
stick to pianos and jet skis.
Yeah, I mean they did great, but it's there's nothing.
What a wild portfolio of products.
Yeah, Yamaha, they crush it, dude.
Yeah.
Those dudes, they make
Pianos,
drum
jet
sets.
skis, and Alexis.
We make what a lot of people consider the best sounding exhaust ever. We make pianos. We make
Well, that's all the
jazz
sound, the
stuff
sound.
That's it.
and jet skis and dirt,
Dirt
bikes
bikes.
and
Okay, marine
snowmobiles.
I'm a marine biologist,
Yeah, they probably make goggles.
probably.
All right, final questions.
Let's do it. I've been waiting for these moments.
You
You
guys
wait to
looking
go
at me
first.
all weird, dude. Like,
100%. I want you to feel the pressure that's about to come on to you.
He just loves to judge people, and
That's
it's
it.
all on the spot, so it's always fun. All right, this one's always good. What's the most overrated car?
I'm gonna get heat for this too. I have two of them here right now. Take a guess.
The Pista,
No,
No.
the fucking
G30,
R34 piece
the-
of shit that are over there. Yeah.
the
I
GTR.
don't say piece of shit. The R34.
I'll say it.
You're not the first one to say this.
Yeah, he's not.
Oh, okay. I didn't know
Billy
that.
Johnson, the Ford
Billy-
GT driver, was.
Yeah,
doing
I
that
mean,
one, too.
it's there's so much hype right now with these cars. I mean, not right now, but it's been like that for a couple of years, and I think
Mhm.
every YouTuber and their mom just gets one for whatever reason.
Right.
Driving wise, you put the right turbo kit and blow off valve on it, sounds cool, but
You're
There's
better
n-
off with an NSX though, right?
yeah, or a Miata with a turbo kit. I'm
That's
gonna
a-
get,
that's a low blow,
I'm gonna
no.
get destroyed.
If
but
no one picked that up, that was a low blow.
Yeah.
that was it. That
I'm
was an
gonna get-
actual low blow.
But I just think that the cars, there's a lot better things you can buy with that
Minus
money.
1 point.
Yeah,
Minus 1 point.
So that's what I think.
What is the most underrated car?
Like there's so many different avenues with that.
Go ahead, big guy.
So recently, something that kind of blew me away is the GT Black Series, AMG GT Black Series. For sub 400, I think that's what they're at now.
Yeah.
I drove it on the track at this event we just had, and I drove it side by side with a 992 GT3 RS, and I was so impressed with the Black Series. Just it drove the downforce, the power. It really, really blew my mind. So I think
track car.
that car, it's got good value. I mean, it's not overpriced right now like it was. It was inflated, but you don't see too many of them on the streets either.
Yeah.
And I think that car really, performance-wise, blew my mind for sure.
Well, I mean those Nürburgring times.
Yeah, that too.
Because those matter so much.
Yeah.
That's such an important
Have you
statistic.
guys driven that track?
Nuremberg? Yeah, I fly in every week and I just get a quick round.
I don't
and
know.
He's from Germany, so
Yeah, for
I'm
real,
from
yeah.
Germany.
it's his
I drove
backyard.
it once, and the funny thing was we were out there, and I had a rental RS6 wagon, and we were just touring all of Europe, different places, full luggage for 2 weeks, and me and my friend were like, let's go to the Nürburgring. So we're like, all right, so we have all this luggage there. We pull up, and it's like, there's like shops, and it's like an amusement park. It's not just a track. It's
Makes
an amusement
sense at
park,
this
and
point.
it's public.
Yeah, it's an attraction.
So you go in there, you buy a ticket, and I think we had like 3 laps, and it took like an hour. Each lap took, I think, like 17 minutes or something. It's not like a record. It's
Yeah.
fucking long.
You're not doing
It's like
640.
70 something turns, and it's rough. Like it is. You're beat up. Like the turns are pitted. There's graffiti everywhere. It is. I don't know how these people, but you'll see, like, I mean, driving this RS6, it's a fast car, right? With luggage and everything, it did great. But I'll get passed by like this Pinto or something that this guy has like stickers on the back of every track he's been to, and he
Right.
does laps, just like goes there after school and just lap and lap.
He's got
and
him
lap.
tattooed on the back of his
Yeah,
calf.
for
too.
sure.
Really,
It's
yeah.
tramp stamp of the
Yeah, I would
Nürburgring.
say that's a
for
lower
sure.
back tattoo for him, that's for sure.
got the
Yeah, but
Nürburgring right
that,
here.
it's an experience. I mean, they'll have mopeds on there, motorcycles. I've seen buses,
That's crazy.
and it's just like a gate, like a when you go to the like a parking structure, you put in
Yeah.
a ticket and the thing goes up. That's all it is.
So after
Really?
doing that, is it crazy that a car does
I
like
can't.
640?
I did. So there's a thing called a taxi where you just get a ride with someone that's experienced. So I went with this guy, had to be like in his 60s, 992 GT3, all stock. He gave me a ride in it, and I was shaking. This guy had one arm on the armrest, driving like this, pinned, where I thought I should be like slowing down,
Right.
like to a complete stop. This guy's full throttle, like, oh, over here we go to the left, and then we go straight here, iconic corner here. I'm like, oh my God. And I was like, these guys are animals all day just giving rides to people.
Dude, that guy's
thought-
got the job.
Imagine how sawed off you have to be able to do
It's
that
time for
shit
me to
every
move to
day.
Germany.
You guys should check it out. That's an experience.
That's a
for
bucket
sure.
list thing. for
Yeah,
us.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's something I got to do.
Bro, you picking up on this Trojan horse shit he's trying to give us right now? He's pitching himself as a Porsche guy, but in all reality, he's an Audi guy at heart. Have you picked up on
Oh,
that?
I first. That's what I grew up on.
I can
Not
sense
grew
it.
up, but I bought a.
He's like you. I can feel him. Feel the
What?
energy. Yeah.
I like Audis. They're cool. I
But
mean,
that's like your thing. Like Audi was.
well, it was
your
like
thing.
Audi, BMW growing up, right? Like you either had like
Audi.
a 3 Series or an A4, and I chose the heterosexual side, and I went with the A4, and
I had an A5.
sick. AudiZine.
Huh?
You were on AudiZine forums?
I mean, I had a login, but I didn't. I didn't.
I was on
peruse it.
AudiZine forums all day, buying used parts. All day.
So I pay attention, big guy. I'm
Every
listening.
build, I had updates.
The whole nine.
Yeah.
See how lively he just got when I talked about his Audi?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
telling you, bro. Stop trying to pitch yourself as a fucking shitbox guy. You're
And he's
an
on
Audi
the
guy.
forums.
You just really, I don't know. Just once you drive, everything's gonna change.
My character will just develop more. At that point, I'll be able to
I
talk
think
about that
you'll
shit.
be a completely new man.
I can't wait to come back down here.
I know,
We got
I'm
one more
ready for it.
question for you.
Ready for this?
This
I
one.
don't know this one.
This one's more of a lob.
A lob?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
This is easy. This is fun. You're not gonna piss anyone off, I don't think, except for maybe Joe. You'll for sure piss him off. 3-car garage, no budget. All you get's 3 cars, and I feel like I already know the first 2. So
Oh, 3-car garage, no budget. All right, so I gotta have something I can drive every day.
Raptor R.
Well, with no budget, I can do whatever I want, right?
Yeah, you can.
No,
Raptor R. I actually not even gonna think twice. Raptor R for sure. Second car, I'd probably want something that was a hypercar. No budget. My Porsche, not a Carrera GT, but a GT1, as like my iconic collector's hypercar, right?
Is that like the silver one with the wheels that y'all did?
No, I've never seen one. That's a
Oh.
CLK GTR. Same era. They
That
have the
car looks
F1
crazy.
GTR, the CLK GTR, and the GT1 were all like the trifecta of that
Okay.
early 2000s, late 90s era. So,
I
mean,
think
the car's-
I
the
think
car's
I know what the
probably-
GT one is.
yeah, it's probably like a
feel like I'm
$15
picturing
million car.
Yeah.
But no budget, right?
Yeah. Well, I did say that.
Cool next to the Raptor R. Third car,
It's a nice
so
It's
you
a great-
wanna,
it's a
you
great
want
deal.
to probably something a little bit newer that I could probably a LaFerrari Aperta.
Fantastic choice.
Yeah, I mean, driving them, they're. That's the first car I drove, and I understood what a hypercar was. When my first reaction, the first word that came to my mind, it wasn't a Aperta, it was a coupe. First time I drove it, I was like, "This is hyper," because it's just violent. It sounded crazy. It had this like distinct smell inside that I'll never forget. But I was like, "This is insane."
Yeah.
I mean, and that
Little
was
Santal.
yeah, it was mind blowing when I drove that car. So yeah, those are the 3 I'd probably have in my garage. Granted, it's what 20 million for all 3, but
Yeah.
That's the
I
whole
think it's a
you
point.
said
great-
no budget.
I did.
What are your guys's? You guys have probably said it before, but I'm curious.
It always changes.
It, just,
yeah.
it changes
What
like
would it be now?
hourly. You want to go first?
No, you go ahead. Rip it.
All right, mine is. I'm doing Per Sport. I like that car. That car is. It's grown on me a lot. It used to be his. It's his favorite car, but now it's in my dream 3-car garage. I'd probably do a wide body Urus for like the daily driver, but still fuck you. And then I would probably just, as basic as I am, bro, as much as I love everything, I'd probably rock an SV. And that'd be it. That's it. I'm a big SV fan.
Yeah,
I'm a big, as much people, just unpopular opinion, I'm a
I'm
big,
not. No, it's a great. I think I like the SV more than the SVJ.
that's where I'm at. So for me,
I think
that's still
SVJ
the
sounds
pinnacle.
better just because it's a shorter exhaust system and
Yeah.
it's got that pop. But I like, without putting the words differently or whatever, I like the rawness of it.
Yeah.
I like analog cars.
Pause.
Yeah, like less polished.
I'll probably go with Pure Sport. We'll go with Urus Perf, and then probably Supercharged STO.
They're violent. They're fast.
It's not a bad one at all.
I think that's where I'm at right now.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Our shit does change fucking.
It does.
I mean,
violently.
that's a great garage for. That I mean, it's everyone's dream for sure. I thought like, okay, no budget. I'm gonna
No,
go with the most
100
expensive
For sure.
shit
I
I
mean,
can get.
I said a Pure
100%.
Sport. I mean, that's a
Yeah.
$5 million car,
Yeah.
$4 million car.
Yeah.
Yeah, I apologize.
I didn't-
do
yeah, yeah.
20 M's on that
Right,
shit,
right.
but
I don't know what
Yeah,
I'm gonna do with a
Forgive me,
McLaren. I don't
sire,
know what I'm
for
doing with a
being
McLaren
poor and
F1.
doing
You know,
only like a $6 million garage instead of a $20 million.
I'm just
garage.
saying, dude. If I had no budget, I'm gonna do it the biggest I can go.
I think for me, it's just for that art, that world for us is still so like.
And it is for me too. Don't get me wrong. I've been fortunate enough to like be in it a little bit, like
Right.
just a part of
Just
it.
drive all the cars and
Just
shit like that.
that's
Yeah,
it.
That's
Passenger,
Nothing
maybe
crazy.
like a couple.
Yep.
But now that it's so crazy to think that you can drive a $10 million car on the street.
yeah,
The 10 M's, dude.
it's crazy.
But there's
like-
levels to the fucking game,
Yeah,
and there forever will be.
it's wild.
My
And,
thing,
and there's like what? Sometimes there's two of these cars or one of them, and you're just
it's stupid.
well, the guy we did the CLK GTR just took it on the track the other day. The car had 200 kilometers when it came to us. 200 brand new, like lowest mile kilometer car you can get, one of 6 in the world, and he's like, I'm just gonna take it on the track.
Why not? He won.
Yeah.
Go fuck
It's
yourself, he did
so
that.
awesome to see, and it's crazy to see people actually driving their cars.
My thinking from it. This is why like I picked my garage. Pure Sport is what I would probably drive the most. I would Andrew Tate that car. And then Urus Perf is just if I have to drive an SUV, at least I can still go fast.
Yeah, you need to have something with 4 seats in it.
I used to be Cullinan, and I kind of go back and forth. I'm like, if I'm going to be an SUV, do I want to just be comfortable? Or no, I mean, I might as well still have the option to be fast.
Yeah.
I just want to drive fast.
Perfs are amazing.
And then I need something where I'm like going to go drive the canyons, which I feel like an STO.
It's a lot of power, dude.
Yeah, it's
The
a lot
supercharged
of
STO
power.
it's fast.
Maybe I
If you
got
put
two
some
maps
big
on it.
tires in it. You get some grip on that. You'd be alright.
You can't. No, you can. The thing
Yeah.
is, it's rear wheel drive.
That's
Yeah.
the problem.
The underground, they add a front differential because there's so much goddamn power. If that car was rear wheel drive,
You know how crazy that is to add that much weight to a car because you fucking need to. Like you ever heard of that? They're fucking doing build, and you're
Yeah.
they're like, no,
Yeah.
we need this, we need
Yeah.
this, or else it's gonna be too much. That's unheard of.
I feel like a 600 LT would be a great canyon bomber too. It's just
It
like
would be a great camera. No, bro, 765.
It's
bro.
Billy
But
J's
if you
favorite
had no
track car.
budget, I'd definitely go with a 765 over a 600 LT.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
That's the whole thing.
It's Billy J's favorite track car.
Yeah, fuck Billy J.
What, the 600
Love
LT?
Billy J. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're talking about the guy that was on the development of the Ford GT. That's like one of the.
I mean, the
Ford
Ford
GT?
GT is his favorite track car.
That's Ford GT is on my list after the Rebel Alto. I'm gonna get a 05 Ford GT. I've always wanted one. Sick car.
yeah.
This shit is fucking nasty.
Yeah.
Dude, well, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, bro.
Thanks for coming by.
Thank you for
This
spending
was-
time
It's
with
too
us.
bad it wasn't daytime. I could have let you
This
change your
was
mind a
fun.
little bit.
It's
I'll
all
start it
good.
up. I'll let you hear
Yeah.
it.
I forgot the hookahs too. We'll do it next time. don't
Dude,
worry.
fuck it. I was like fiending. Could have at least brought some shawarma.
I could have, bro.
You
Sorry,
had
I
so
fucked
many
up.
things you could have brought to
I
make
know.
my day.
You're right. I fucked up. Don't worry. What I'm doing is setting up another meeting between the two of us. That's what I'm doing.
Part 2.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll
100%.
figure it out. We'll come bearing
I'm a
gifts.
very strategic human being, so don't worry.
I could tell. Waited for the right time.
Yeah. Yep. That's it. Yeah. This is Boden Autohaus.
He already gave you the
Josh.
socials. One more
Yeah.
time. Socials.
It's just Boden _Autohaus.
Boden _Autohaus. Everywhere.
Across
No
the board.
personal Instagram.
I don't really. It's private.
Understood. 100%.
All Boden.
Yeah.
That's
That's all
it.
it's about.
Craziest customization ever. Thank you for coming on. And that's it. We're out.
We're out.